Welcome back to the party, everybody. This is Morty, and I am your host, Lutch, aka TheIndianJesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Everybody hit that like and subscribe. You know I would do it for you, and let's party. Welcome. We got 888GK in the building. Welcome to the party. Very good to see you guys. So we're gonna be flying by the seat of my pants here. We're supposed to have a guest to talk about some Christian stuff, and then he only just now hit me up. So there's some stuff going on with Epstein and all of that. So we'll watch that. I'm gonna figure out if he's coming up, and we'll talk about everything and anything. So if you haven't seen the latest thing that has pissed off people like myself who voted for Donald Trump, but am not really liking where he is going. This was, I think, 2 days ago in a press conference when someone asked about the Epstein files.
He did not want these to come out. He was actively burning political capital.
Oh, man. Okay, hold on. There we go.
President, why wait for Congress to release the Epstein files? Why not just do it now?
Why not just do it now? Good question. Why not just do it now? Why not do it before? Clearly, there is some reason why you changed your opinion, and now your opinion's different. Maybe there's something legitimate, but that's the question.
President, why wait for Congress to release the Epstein files? Why not just do it now?
It's not the question that I mind, it's your attitude. I think you are a terrible reporter. It's the way you ask these questions. You start off with a man who's highly respected, asking him a horrible, insubordinate, and just a terrible question. And you could even ask that same exact question nicely. You're all psyched up. Somebody psychs you over at ABC. They're going to psych it. You're a terrible person and a terrible reporter. As far as the Epstein files is, I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. I threw him out of my club many years ago because I thought he was a sick pervert. But I guess I turned out to be right. But you know who does have? Bill Clinton. Larry Summers, who ran Harvard, was with him every single night, every single weekend. They lived together. They went to his island many times. I never did.
So remember, the question was, why didn't you release things earlier?
Andrew Weissman, I hear. All these guys were friends of his. You don't even talk about those people. You just keep going on the Epstein files. And what the Epstein is
yeah, because you promised that, bro.
A Democrat hoax to try and get me not to be able to talk about the $21 trillion that I talked about today.
Nope, you can talk about all that all you want. We just also want you to talk about this.
It's a hoax. Now, I just got a little report, and I put it in my pocket, of all the money that he's given to Democrats. He gave me none, zero, no money to me.
Oh, poor baby.
But he gave money to Democrats. And people are wise to your hoax. And ABC's, your company, your crappy company, is one of the perpetrators. And I'll tell you something. I think the license should be taken away from ABC because your news is so fake and it's so wrong. And we have a great commissioner, the chairman, who should look at that, because I think when you come in and when you're 97% negative to Trump and then Trump wins the election in a landslide, that means obviously your news is not credible and you're not credible as a reporter. So I've answered your question. You should go and look at the Democrats who received money from Epstein, who spent their time. Larry Summers was with him all the time. That creep of the fund guy was with him all the time. What's his name? Reid Hoffman. I don't know Reid Hoffman, but I know he spends a lot of money on the radical left.
And so I didn't release the files earlier because
Reid Hoffman, in my opinion, should be under investigation. He's a sleazebag. And those are the people, but they don't get any press. They don't get any news. And you're not after the radical left because you're a radical left network. But I think the way you ask a question with the anger and the meanness is terrible. You ought to go back and learn how to be a reporter. No more questions from you. Who else has a question?
And I mean, this is the exact same thing that I got frustrated with in the other press conference. I think Netanyahu was there, but when someone asked Pam Bondi a question, and he's like, hold on, wait. And it's like, hey, yo, what? I thought this was your whole deal. Shout out to Trey Williams in the building. Welcome to the party. Said this Epstein stuff is sad, but watching the right-wing YouTubers implode fighting each other about Trump being in the files has been satisfying to watch. I mean, I don't think that he is implicated in anything in the files. But something clearly happened. Something clearly changed his mind on whether how he wants to talk about this and how much he wants to influence this happening. and I'm not down with it. Shout out to Section 230. Welcome to the party. So it's not up to Trump to release it. You can tell them to do it, but they can obfuscate and refuse. Okay, so then we get mad at the people who obfuscate and refuse. Until that happens, I'm mad at the guy who is obfuscating and refusing. And section of the hoax part is in reference to whether Trump was involved, which he wasn't. That, definitely. I don't think that would have come out during Biden if that was the case. I completely agree with that. Shout out to Christopher. Welcome to the party. I'm assuming you're talking about Trump and Epstein being best friends. I don't know if best friends is accurate, but they definitely had some interactions, but it's not a lie that he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago like 20 years ago. We also got Mr. One Boston. Welcome. It's like, hey, yo, remember Roy Cohn? Epstein before Epstein, still a friend of Trump. I actually have not heard of that. No, we might need to do a deep dive on that. We got Angry Amputee. Welcome to the party. Yeah, completely agree. If he was in there, we would have already known. Shout out to William. I don't know what that means, but welcome to the party. Section said he's not obfuscating or refusing. He repeatedly said to release it. He never said not to. Only after it was so heavily redacted. The reason that we wanted all the emails was to see who it was. And so, I definitely have to talk, or I definitely need to get from you guys a little bit more of the actual details on what was and was not in the what was redacted. But that is the frustration that it's kicking the can down the road and promising something big, and then you end up with almost nothing. Shout out to Nicholas. Welcome. Said, how can anyone support Kamala, the coconut, or Joe Biden after the last 4 years? I don't know. Clinton definitely in the files. I would say both of them probably. Shout out to Kim. Welcome. Do you guys really care what happened so long ago? What is to be gained? Yes, I absolutely care what happened so long ago, because those people are still in power, potentially. So if those people are still in power and they did those things, I would like to get them out of power. I don't think that's a crazy position. Shout out to Liberty Plus TV. Welcome. So Democrats would never release the Epstein files. CIA runs both parties. Thinking this is a partisan issue is just dumb. That's another good point that, Trump just try to make it into a Democrat conspiracy. I don't know, Section, you said that was about him specifically being in the files. But, as Trump does, he's not very specific with his language. And I'm just not loving how he should be on the other side of this. Like you said, Section, he can't do it himself, but he's certainly giving like, look, I don't know what's going on. Nothing is gonna happen until we get those the list, the files, whatever. And the fact of the matter is he's not doing that, and he used to do that. So what changed? So we're gonna hear from the Groiper himself, Mr. Nick Fuentes, to see what he has to say. Did I miss anything else here? Yeah, thank you, Mr. Boston. Can we get those likes up, please? Thank you. We got Angel in the building. Welcome to the party. Said we have to support Trump. I disagree. We have to support our values. We have to support our morals. We have to support our ethics that uphold the culture of this nation. And for a very long time, Trump was that. I got my hat right here. I was in the club, but after that first press conference, I was like, I'm not putting that in my in my frame anymore. Like, he's not a bad guy, in terms of he's not a bad president. I mean, but I never what I supported him for were the things that he promised, and this is one of the biggest ones, and he has not delivered in the way that we would like. Shout out to Eric. Welcome. Said, I just came to remind you that all the Democrats, the Democrats logo is a jackass for a reason. Yeah, jackass. Facts. Anybody else new? Shout out to JP. Welcome. So we have to understand that they would have already cooked Trump, but if they had anything on him long ago before he became president. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. All right, let's dive in here. I see a bunch of new people. Glad to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Angels here. We got Boss in the building. Shout out to Iceman. Welcome, 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 guys. If you are new here, I am Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of Common Sense. I am live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, and sometimes whenever I feel like it. So hit that subscribe, and you know that YouTube sucks with those notifications, so ring the bell. Let's do it.
You tried to trick us. You tried to postpone it. You tried to bury it. You lied and said there were no files. You lied and said you didn't know what was in them. And finally, Trump says, oh, all right, well, now I support the release of the files. Okay, well, that's because they were going to come out anyway. Trump is a lame duck.
Nick Fuentes just revealed.
So JP said, you're too picky, man. He's not perfect, but he's getting a lot of money back for us, and he's really building. Just give him another year or two. Just like, well, I didn't give Biden shit. So I voted for Trump, which is why I'm so frustrated. And so when you say I'm being too picky, I like maybe I'm being too picky, that if there's a cabal of child arpists that I want to make sure those people aren't in power. Maybe I'm being too picky, but I'll die on that hill. I'll take being picky. Devil Dog, welcome. So there's a video of a representative from the U.S. Virgin Islands texting with Epstein while she's sitting on a committee and is questioning people.
Bingo.
That's why. That is why. I don't want these people in power. It's that simple.
Why Donald Trump actually agreed to finally release the Epstein files after months of clashes with his own base in some circumstances, burning political capital along the way. What were all the tactics that Trump tried to use for this?
I'll be 36 in a couple weeks.
What could be the reason? What do these files contain? Nick weighs into all this and more. Let's check it out. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel.
Like I said, there was another big breakthrough today. So yesterday, Trump refused to disavow Tucker. On the same day, he said that we would release the Epstein files. Huge breaking news. I have to say, though, it's not the best development ever. And let me tell you why.
Yep. Shout out to Rage Page. Welcome to the party. Very good to see you, brother.
So yesterday, Trump posts on True Social that he is finally relenting. And after months, literally months of doing everything to cover this up, finally, Trump says yesterday, all right, release the files. He says, it's become too big of a distraction. Let's just release the files and get it over with. Okay, great. Here's the issue. The files were going to be released this week anyway. Okay. Last week, you have a bill. You have Thomas Massie from the Republican side, Ro Khanna from the Democrat side. They are literally forcing the bill to be brought to the floor for a vote. They're bypassing the speaker. They're bypassing the Republican majority. And not only were they forcing a vote on the bill, which would release all the files.
I just want to say, I completely agree with all that you're saying. I just don't think that because Democrats are bad and horrible and Kamala would have been the worst thing ever, that it's okay that he's being a barrier between the truth and us. I want to know the truth. That's it.
But it was anticipated that over 100 Republicans would defect from the president and vote for the bill, which would release the files.
Yeah, I think Nick's right on here. That it's an optics nightmare for Trump, who demands, towing the line from members of Congress that are close to him. If you have 100 defectors, that might not seem like anything, but on this issue, that's everything. If 100 Republicans are going to defect against Trump, what signal does that send the world? That Trump's a lame duck, and he might be a lame duck anyways, because that amount of Republicans were going to defect from this absurd cover-up that he couldn't keep pushing because it just was too unpopular. That's the truth here. They threw everything at some of these would-be defectors, by the way, like Lauren Boebert. Apparently the FBI and top administrative officials cornered Boebert in a room, presumably to try to get her not to support this discharge petition that Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie and Marjorie Taylor Greene had drawn up to force the release of the Epstein files. And it just doesn't seem like this was going to hold, man. If this was going to come to a floor vote with recorded names, it was going to bite Trump in the ass. I think Nick's exactly right here.
So Section 230 said, I'm totally for critique and criticism of Trump. The part that bugs me is people mischaracterizing and misrepresenting. I agree with that totally. And that is why, again, I'm not coming to you with the position of this happened, this is the good, that is the bad, and more so of a discussion. Because, this is kind of breaking news is maybe a strong term, but this is definitely developing. And so the way people are framing it and stuff like that is going to affect how we see the facts. And so, if we can all get our opinions in there, then, we'll pick the best ones. Excuse me. Shout out to Harry Toeface. So we already know Trump didn't do anything wrong. The Dems would have released it if he had. Trump called it a hoax because they were pushing the line that he was directly involved, not that Jeffrey Epstein didn't exist. People need to read between the lines. And fair enough. But especially with this issue, I think there's so many other places where we can be like, oh, don't take Trump literally, take Trump seriously. And he said this, but what he actually meant was that here you just you're playing with fire. You're playing with fire. And when people are already upset that you're seeming to try to downplay this or block it or whatever, then anything in that direction, it's just like, bro, you should be going hard if you know that you don't have the authority to release it. If you know that it's already going to be released, then you should be all about it. Like, I got them to release it. If without me, they never would have done that. But that's not what's happening. Shout out to Colby. Welcome to the party. So we wanted the vote. We wanted the release of the files. I don't know what Nick is yelling about. So yeah, let's jump right back into that. Welcome.
So what was going to happen on Wednesday, regardless, is that probably half or maybe all of the Republican conference was going to vote in defiance of the president, in open, public, explicit defiance, to release these Epstein files, which might credibly contain embarrassing or damning evidence of Trump's friendship with Epstein. That was going to happen regardless. And last week, Trump was still bringing people into the Oval Office, including Lauren Boebert, trying to convince them to prevent this from happening.
Yeah, so just 3 days.
Shout out to Equality and Deference because of Vagina over on Rumble. Welcome. Said liked and shared. My goodness, you guys know how much that stuff really does help the channel. It's free, it's easy, and it takes 2 seconds. It doesn't even matter if you think anybody's going to click on the link that you shared. Just by you telling the platform you want more people to see it, they will show it to more people. Welcome to the party.
Convince them to prevent this from happening.
Yeah, so just 3 days he was preventing it from happening, or trying to do that, right? But it didn't seem like it was going to take a hold. So what would it say if he didn't do this maneuver? It'd be saying that I still want to cover this up. This is still a Democratic hoax. There's still nothing there. It's boring and it doesn't exist. But all those 20,000 documents that just got released, they apparently, just completely ruptured that idea. So what would it say if Trump continues down that line? It'd be saying that he's dug in on this cover-up that these Republican allies are opposing. Now he's trying to shift the optics by saying, hey, I support it. I have nothing to hide. Just vote for it. But it's not going to work. You just were trying to cover it up 3 days ago.
Yep. And this shows the uniparty, the fact that it is definitely not a partisan issue, that there's people all around. And so the rage bait saying it would be a security issue to publicly list every person involved or not from the investigation. So fine, then we don't need to do that. We just need to trust the Pam Bondis, the Kash Patels, the whoever of the world to look through it and say, these are the people that have been committing X, Y, and Z. At least that would get us somewhere. At least that would give us something. This pretense that they don't exist. It's like, yes, there's no list that Bill Clinton was here on July 4th. Yeah, obviously that doesn't exist. But there's clearly damning evidence in there. We got Behave in the building. Welcome to the party. Very good to see you. So I'm happy the files are out. Trump exiled Epstein from hospital life before Epstein. I don't know what that means, but glad the files are out. Well, are they out or have they been just released and heavily redacted? Again, guys, if you do me a huge favor, we got 9 people in the vertical, or we got 10 people in the normal stream and only 2 likes. Please, it's free and it's easy. Come on. Shout out to talent available. So Trump playing 4D chess, get everyone wired and upset, only to drop the girls and prove his innocence. We already know he was used as an informant against Epstein. Plus, Jeff didn't like Donald Trump. And so, but that's why I'm saying it made sense all along that he was, fighting hard to get the files released. And all of a sudden, something changed. I don't know what changed, but something changed.
But it's not going to work. You just were trying to cover it up 3 days ago.
And so he failed to cover it up. He failed to convince Republicans to be complicit in the cover-up, to be an accomplice. Him and Mike Johnson failed to prevent it from coming to the floor. It was going to come out in a couple of days anyway. And now, just days before this inevitable embarrassment and mutiny by his own party, now Trump says, all right, yeah, I guess you're right. Release the files. Really?
So Liberty says, security problem for who? Actual citizens? PDF rings in the country. Come on, guys, help me out here. No, they aren't going to prosecute themselves. So no, I think the notion is that because it's not a clear client list, that there are going to be people who are involved or named that haven't done anything wrong. I think that is the argument about security. And then so if you're tangentially, if you're connected like Trump is, but you didn't do anything wrong, then you could still be, gone after in whatever way you want to talk about it.
So Trump has merely acquiesced to what would have been inevitable. And this is a story. This is from the New York Times. It says, quote, President Trump denounced calls for the release of the Epstein files as a Democrat hoax. He dispatched aides to warn Republicans that backing it would be seen as a hostile act. He placed personal calls to those who dared to do so, even dispatched his attorney general and FBI director to meet with one in the White House Situation Room to get her to flip. In the end, none of it worked. Then on Sunday night, Mr. Trump did something he has rarely been forced to do. He caved in the face of pressure from his party and called on House Republicans to go ahead and back a bill ordering his DOJ to release all of its investigative files on the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. By Monday, he was saying, sure, he would sign the legislation he has spent months trying to kill. It's not clear that doing so would have any concrete impact. Mr. Trump could have ordered the release of the files without an act of Congress and has not. It remains.
Yeah, we've gotten to the point of him saying that, him switching his tune and be like, oh, well, this is weird. And a lot of us are already saying, what the fuck? Make it make sense.
He spent 11 months in his presidential campaign not doing that, and instead doing these absurd charades like passing out the Epstein Phase 1 binders to Zionist influencers with documents that were already widely published. That just absurdity that they thought would go over on this public, this base that had been calling for transparency in the Epstein files for 4 years under Biden, that wouldn't placate any of those desires. It was so absurd.
Oh my goodness. Shout out to Chad with a big 5. Thank you. So very, very much. Of course, guys, every single donation comes with a treat for the co-host. Let me put that out and a treat. Thank you. Eat it, bro. There we go. Chad with the $5. Thank you again. Said informants / star witnesses are just co-conspirators that made a deal with the prosecutors. Trump is clearly implicated in some shady dealings. I'm sure Trump has done a lot of shady dealings. The question is it anything related to what we're talking about with, children and grape and stuff like that? That is what I want to know. We knew that Trump was shady from the very beginning. That ain't news. What we actually need to know is the truth about this. But thank you so very, very much. And of course, that makes you the new sponsor of the stream. Very much appreciated. Shout out to DJ Isolated. Said in the beginning of the Epstein case, it was announced they had documents and media like audio and video recordings. None of that has been mentioned for years. Clearly destroyed. Gone Benito. That I believe it. I believe it. I think that before Trump was in the position of, we're going to go through all of that and get, the relevant information, and then sometime in the Biden administration, it was destroyed, or maybe even in his last presidency, it was destroyed, and now he's trying to finagle how to make that work, and it doesn't. It doesn't. Welcome to the party.
4 years under Biden, that wouldn't placate any of those desires. It was so absurd what he tried to do.
Remains to be seen whether his DOJ will ultimately release the files anyway. But his reversal has opened the floodgates of Republicans backing the bill, which is expected to come to a vote in the House as early as Tuesday and appears likely to pass unanimously.
What does it say about humanity? What does it say about humanity if the truth would destroy everything? What does that say?
Unanimously, every member of the House is going to vote for this.
We'll see. I don't know. I mean, I would say that he's going to get all the Republicans now that Trump has signaled, hey, vote for it. I have nothing to hide. Before, it would have been way more interesting if Trump would have gone to this vote still saying this is a Democratic hoax, don't vote for it. There's nothing to see here, but we have to move worlds to try to prevent this vote. That would have been a lot more interesting to see where these congressmen stand. And I wish it would have gone down to that. Now you are going to have all the Republicans essentially supported. If you're asking me, that's what my gut says.
The truth wouldn't destroy anything good. Bars.
It has also raised questions about Mr. Trump's ability to impose his will on Republicans and the nation, suggesting a slip in his iron grip on his party amid his falling poll numbers, rising prices, and rifts within his political coalition. For months, House Republicans had dreaded the prospect of a vote on releasing the files. Such a moment would leave them torn between pressure from a fervent base demanding that they support the release of the files and a vengeful president demanding the opposite.
Yep, everyone knows that Trump is a degenerate and a liar, just like every other politician, and is clearly better than Kamala Harris, despite being a degenerate and a liar.
I still think a lot of them dread the vote because of who it might implicate in Epstein's crimes, or at least very embarrassing things. But again, they might redact a lot of this, classify a lot of this. It still might end up being a nothing burger because of shifty, shrewd tactics by the regime. But at the same time, I think many of them still do dread it, but they're going to feel like they have to vote for it now. Many of them will.
Mr. Trump's about-face was a bow to the inevitable that came after it had become clear that many, if not most, Republicans were planning to support the measure, wary of appearing to aid in a cover-up for Jeffrey Epstein. Even Representative Troy Nehls, the Republican of Texas, was now on board just days after he wrote on social media that he would be a hard no on the release of the Epstein hoax, designed by Democrats to distract us from the winning of President Trump and his administration. So it's like I said.
Shout out again to Chad for the $5. DJ said they gave autistics thousands of boring emails to pour over for content. Government is not the only corrupt element in this. The people, we the people, are too. Say more on that. What exactly do you mean?
Trump is not actually supporting the release of the files. He is acquiescing because the release of the files has now become inevitable. And there is some credit due, I suppose. It's positive that Trump has now gotten behind it, even if it's too little too late. But still, and I said this from the very beginning.
Well, exactly. What we're saying, this is just the tip of the iceberg. So if there's much deeper stuff, then doesn't it seem important that we at least start with the tip of the iceberg?
We have to wonder what exactly is in the files. I said this from the start. I don't necessarily believe that Trump is on the island having sex with underage girls or complicit in some kind of sexual abuse. I actually think that's unlikely. But the problem is that if Trump has been engaged in an active cover-up basically since the beginning of the second term, it creates a very negative perception. It creates the appearance of impropriety, and we almost have to draw a negative inference based on that.
Absolutely. There has to be some negative inference drawn from that.
And that's all I'm saying. I'm not claiming to know, oh, this is what happened. Oh, Israel did this, somebody that, the FBI this. I don't know what happened. All I know is that something happened that changed his mind. Equality Endeavor said, need to peel back all the layers on this evil onion. I agree. Anything that is destroyed in pursuit of the truth, as Liberty says, does not deserve to be, or does deserve, you know what I mean, doesn't deserve to stand.
Absolutely. There has to be some negative inference drawn from that. At worst, it is complicity with Epstein's most vile crimes, and at best, it's complicity with an outright cover-up, which has been proven through these last months. And if Trump wasn't involved in Epstein's crimes, he couldn't be behaving in any way that would lead people to think that. He's been behaving in a way that would invite those suspicions for good reason. Because of the way he's handled this, because of the way he's tried to get off this, pivot off this, use every excuse under the sun to justify this.
Yeah, that in and of itself is what I'm upset about. The pivoting and the I voted for the guy who I thought would get that kind of pressure and been like, "Fuck you, we're releasing everything." Not the videos, obviously, but you know what I mean. Everything that people want, that people want to know, the names, everything. He's no longer that guy. He has become the swamp.
You know, it's only invited the worst suggestions how they've handled this. So I think there has to be something there. This is not something that they would have just done all of these, shrewd political tactics to try to get away from if there was nothing there. There's something there.
Yikes.
And you just go over the timeline. In February, he basically tried to trick the public. He had all the MAGA influencers at the White House, gave them these fake binders and said, here's the Epstein files. Take them. Look, here it is.
Just put the link in the description.
And then they went public with what was in the binders, and it was things that had already been disclosed.
Yeah.
And so you have to wonder, what was that? If Trump never intended to release the files, but he pulled that stunt, clearly that was a trick.
It was a trick. It clearly was. And in a way, I can understand why they tried to pull it. Republican activists can be placated with the most absurdly minuscule things. Like in the first Trump term, it was enough to placate a lot of the Republican base just to clown on Liz Warren and make jokes about her ancestry tests, which were...
I was going to say, I mean, they're fucking funny. But there is, I think, if we look back, there was such a coalition against, wokeness and all that stuff that we were kind of willing to overlook other things. And now that ship has kind of turned in a different direction, now we're looking inward and we're like, wait a minute. Not everybody here is one of the good guys.
Funny. I laughed at them. But at the same time, a lot of his base had problems with, hey, he didn't.
Vision Hybrid said, who funded the nice set for this guy? Everybody in the chat. This is all from you. I mean, obviously, this is my condo. This is where I live. But all the lighting, all that stuff comes from you guys. Very much appreciated. Don't forget, every single donation comes with a treat for Morty. If we hit the goal, then I got to bulk up these puny arms, and Morty gets a special treat. So get those donos in.
Drain the swamp. He didn't build the wall to the extent that they wanted. He didn't, rein in the empire, and instead he expanded wars in Syria and Yemen in particular. He ramped up bombing in Afghanistan in particular. So a lot of these supporters were placated by him owning the libs, and they thought maybe that this would go over, that somehow we could get this by the base. Thankfully, it didn't happen this time.
They tried to deceive the public. They tried it, and then they failed. They went through the motions because they knew the public wanted the files. They knew they promised the files. They wanted credit for it, and they wanted those questions to go away. So they tried to psych us out. And then when the public realized, they said, well, we're going to release them later. Then Trump ordered the FBI to look through the files privately. And the FBI found that Trump's name is all over them. They told that to the president.
Shout out to Chagwa Enough. Welcome. The vibe of this stream is, I don't know, I voted for Trump. I love everything Trump has been doing until he started coping for Epstein. And I'm trying to figure out what exactly is going on with that. So welcome. The vibe is be honest about what you actually believe, and that should probably end you up in the right place. Welcome. We also got our boy Guam Tag. Welcome to the party. Very good to see you, sir, and said, liked, and shared. Again, guys, that stuff really does help. Thank you so very, very much. Just tap that like, double tap the screen, and give it a share. It doesn't even matter if you think anybody is going to click on it. It really does help. Thank you, and welcome to the party.
And the FBI found that Trump's name is all over them. They told that to the president. When asked about this, Trump said he had no knowledge of that. That was a lie. Which
is so absurd because he was president when Epstein died. Mm-hmm. He was good friends with Epstein for 15 years or so.
Right, and so a lot of people are like, oh, well, he didn't like him because he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. I'm like, great, good. That doesn't mean that they weren't in the same circles. Elon. Remember when Elon tweeted that Trump was in the files? Weren't they just having dinner the other night? This is like, I don't know how many of you know about the Panelverse drama with Andrew Wilson and Rob Noor and the Raging Tomato and all that stuff. But there's so much stuff that seems like, oh, it's a big deal out in public. And then these people know, especially in politics, it's all a show. It's all theatrics. They're all, I've been turning on Orange Man. When's the last time you saw my MAGA hat up here? When's the last time you synced it? Not since the last time he had a press conference where he tried to downplay Epstein. Fuck around and find out.
Epstein died. He was good friends with Epstein for 15 years or so. Of course, his name would be in the files. Now, that's not to say necessarily he was implicated in any crimes and the government has that information. You know, it would be obvious that his name was in the files. We already know what's documented.
Now, I'll just say, I do not think that this happened. But if it did, I would not be that surprised. I do not think that it happened. But I would not be surprised.
That he was friends with Epstein. That he was president when Epstein died under Bill Barr. We know that. It shouldn't have been surprising. So the way he behaved since then has, again, only invited the worst suggestions of his associations with Epstein and Epstein's sex trafficking operation.
Then, a couple months after this, in July, the Trump DOJ comes out and says, well, there are no Epstein files. Those don't exist.
Yeah, Rage Page said he's our president. He's in charge. Well, we need to push him in the right direction. He is our president. He is a public servant to us. What we want matters more than what he wants. And I think for a long time, because of the fact that what he wanted aligned with a lot of what we wanted, it was all good. But somewhere along the way, he forgot that he's supposed to be representing us, not him.
This week, the Democrats compelled the release of 20,000 emails, and Trump's name is all over them. And this just proves it. You tried to trick us. You tried to postpone it. You tried to bury it. You lied and said there were no files. You lied and said you didn't know what was in them.
Is he not our president?
And in the end, when Democrats release the files, it proves they exist. There are files that have not been released. Your name is in them. And they do actually raise serious questions.
They certainly do. I see no smoking gun to prove like Trump's involvement in these crimes, but at the very least, there are paper trails here worth exploring. Yep. The fact that Epstein's saying that Donald Trump knew about the girls. Now that's Epstein's allegation. I haven't seen corroboration of that. He asked Landon Thomas, the New York Times reporter, do you want to see pictures of Trump with girls in bikinis? You know, Thomas said, yeah, send that.
Well, I mean, ain't nothing wrong with bikinis. Wait. Did you say underage or did you say girls?
Pictures of Trump with girls in bikinis.
Ain't nothing wrong with bikinis.
You know, Thomas said, yeah, send that over to me. It never was sent. But again, this raises questions.
Quantic said, I'm still about 6 out of 10 on Trump. Judah's done a lot of good, but had less guys. Oh my God, what is with you guys today? Sometimes it's me that can't read right, but this one's you guys today. He's let a bunch of things promised slip through the cracks. Still got 3 years to make up for it. So yeah, I mean, here's the thing. The standard should be that there's no politician that say, oh my God, I love this politician. Like that's gay. That's gay as shit. But there's levels to this game. And so I'm still very proud that he is our president. I'm still very proud in the things that he has accomplished. I'm still very, very happy that he is a president, given the alternative. That doesn't mean that criticism means that we're done. So I was willing to show that MAGA hat because of what it stood for. And until it becomes completely divorced from Trump, and that is my goal, to show that MAGA has become way bigger than Trump. Until that, then I don't want to just be here and coping for Danny Trump. I'm gonna say it like it is, and if he doesn't do good enough to make sure that our party, for lack of a better term, does well, then I don't know what to tell you. He probably shouldn't be the president.
Send that over to me. It never was sent. But again, this raises questions. There's stuff here worth exploring, and it's no secret why this was covered up. There were files here. He lied about that. He said it was a Democratic hoax. It wasn't. It was mostly Republicans
We got him in the chat. We got him in the chat. I knew it. I knew he wasn't dead. I knew he wasn't dead.
for this during the Biden presidency, when Democrats are mostly silent about this, didn't use it as a weapon against Trump, likely because both sides are implicated in this. That's why so many people want answers. It's not a partisan thing. It should not be a partisan thing to get to the bottom of this. I don't care which party this benefits, man. This is a child sex trafficking operation involving some of the most prominent people in power that was likely part of an Israeli blackmail operation.
Yeah, why would anyone care about that? BL said, well, which Republicans are like Donald Trump? Because those are the ones that I view as bad people. A year ago, I would have said, only a very few of them, and those are the ones that I like. But now, most Republicans are like Donald Trump. You have Thomas Massie, you have Rand Paul. That's about it. There's a couple others, but he's changed. He's changed, and I'm not bad for noticing it. Welcome to the party.
That's what we're dealing with here. We know Epstein had close ties to Israel that have been even more clear in the last month too. That would be embarrassing for the Israel first mentality that this administration wants to show too. That's why we need to get to the bottom of this.
And so it became an inevitability that Trump would have to buckle on this. But it's like I said, I don't know necessarily that Trump is in them in a criminal way, but if he went to such lengths to prevent them from coming out, like I said, those are pretty extraordinary machinations.
Brian, so besides JD Vance, who do you think has a good chance of being the next Donald Trump? Nobody. There will never be another Donald Trump. There will never be another Donald Trump. Will there be other great presidents? Sure, probably. But there will never be another Donald Trump. I think there was, who was it? It was when Ron DeSantis went on the PBD podcast. And for the verticals, I'll give you the full screen here. When PBD went on or had Ron DeSantis on his show when Ron was running, and that's when he really went downhill. But PBD was talking about, I think there's two different kinds of presidents. He said there's the trailblazer president, and then there is the flag carrying president, and they're different, but they're both important. And so relevant to this, I think Trump was that pioneer of, the bull in the china shop thing, changing the status quo. And I think now we need somebody who is going to be more like JD Vance, that has those values, but is here to just maintain the progress that we've had. I think the culture needs to catch up to where we are. That's why there's so much chaos, because so much has changed so quickly that nobody knows which way is up. So I don't think anybody could be the next Donald Trump. Again, I'm sure there's big personalities. I couldn't name someone off the top of my head, but as of right now, JD Vance does seem like a good choice.
Prevent them from coming out. Like I said, those are pretty extraordinary machinations. He did not want these to come out. He was actively burning political capital, preventing Congress from acting, calling his allies his enemies, calling them traitors, calling his voters traitors.
Right. It's likely the last 35 or so presidents were sick fucks. I would say 47, but, whatever. Well, there was only what? 42, 43? Whatever. All of them. I always said that you cannot get to that role without being blackmailed or blackmailing somebody else. It's just the name of the game. And so that's why when people try to talk about Trump's corruption, it's like, okay, are you just talking about that in context to you and I? Or are you talking about that in relation to other politicians? Because that ain't the same thing.
You have to think this was almost a years-long campaign, alienating supporters, political allies, lying, postponing, covering up. Like every trick in the book, every form of soft power was used.
Yeah. Chag said when I first, Chag, can I call you Chag? When I first had my big moment of, with Trump was when he started with the Trump 2028 stuff. I know the alternatives are not looking too good, but I wonder how you felt about that. I was against the third term thing from the very start. As I was just saying before, I think it is, I think it's true that MAGA has outgrown Trump. I'm more MAGA than Trump is. Let's put that out there. And so the fact that he is so closely tied to that is preventing MAGA from becoming bigger and more palatable, because in so many people's minds, MAGA equals Trump. The further we can get those things away from each other, the further we can get Trump and MAGA from each other, then we can very easily represent MAGA that we like and put the stuff from Donald Trump that we don't like to the side. MAGA is a mentality. Make America great again. That's all that means. And so trying to, with Steve Bannon be like, well, there's ways to do this. That's not what I signed up for, bro. That's not what I wanted. Box is referencing the poll at the top of the landscape chat. If you're on vertical, you can click the pin link and come right over. But do you support Trump's attitude on Epstein? And 60% said no, yet 40% said yes. So clearly, it's not exactly a cult. Now, is it? It's free to think. Welcome, said the fact is that we know it's not just one or a few of them. It's all of them. If we don't stop all the BS now, it's just going to get worse. Less rights, less privileges, more control, and wickedness. Agreed. We got Box in the building. Welcome to the party. Very good to see ya. Behave said, I'm Team Trump. I am too. I am Team Trump. But that doesn't mean that I can't be upset with the team. So, that being said, Behave said, I'm Team Trump. Epstein hated Trump and tried to get him impeached and or put into prison. Epstein was terrified of Trump because Trump got him put in prison because Trump told the FBI about Epstein. And fair enough, but again, even if I'm not saying this is or is not the case, but just because Trump told the FBI about Epstein doesn't mean that makes Trump the good guy in the situation. It could have been self-preservation. Now, again, I do not think that Trump did anything with any underage people. But that doesn't mean that he can't be implicated in other ways, and it doesn't mean that people that are his friends in politics also would never be implicated by that. So, I mean, there's definitely going to be other cult leaders, but that's irrelevant to Donald Trump because, as you can see by the poll, it's pretty split. What else we got here? He did try. And it didn't go so well. Rick, welcome. Said Vance won't be president. I mean, that's a little far the way. That's a little bit down the road. I don't necessarily see any of that like spark that would be like, oh, this guy could be president. So I'm gonna hold off on trying to determine who is definitely going to be that. That's so far away. And then as we saw from 2016, it could be somebody that came out of nowhere, literally. I mean, as far as politics goes. What else are you guys saying? Section 230 said, I'll be the next great president. Y'all call me a dictator, and so will the world, but you'll be doing so in a better world. Said every authoritarian dictator ever. Ooh, spicy. Larry said the next Donald Trump will be the person who is selected like Trump was. Oh God, I hope that's not the case. I don't know how, I was going to say, I don't know how the Democrats could even put up something that is, like a solid fight in 28, but like, I don't know. This is not looking good. This is not looking good. Jay's the only politician to call Trump. He's definitely not. But hey, I was never Trumper once, and that's why we continue to do this, to change our minds with new information. What about me? The fuck? A green substance. Jeffries was just exposed and tied into the files. He's about to be let go or worse. Good. Alex Jones for president. Let's go. All right. To be honest, Satan is too good for Donald Trump and the rest of this administration. Maybe Satan should take Donald Trump's position as president, but first he must convince Satan to have an abortion. Fair enough. All right, why don't we dive back in here? I'm the Indian Jesus. I am not the Messiah, but I am the Indian Jesus.
Like every trick in the book, every form of soft power was used to prevent the files from getting out. Why? We have
Good question. Why?
no choice but to assume. At the minimum, it's something very embarrassing and damaging. At the most, it might be criminal.
Exactly right. That's exactly what we're dealing with here. And every poll seems to reflect that this issue has hurt Trump more than any other, especially with his own base that he's supposed to have by default. Remember, golden age. This time it's for real. Trump means business. He's not going to surround himself with neocons and go to war. He's going to bring transparency to the Epstein case. He's actually going to have mass deportations, all this stuff. He's been a letdown on other issues like Ukraine. We talked about that with funding Israel to the brim.
Oh yeah, the Israel stuff is, and I know I've only recently been more willing to listen to the Groyper types because I don't like the rhetoric in the same way I don't like the rhetoric of the Christian nationalists. But I do think that we should have at least for right now, that as our driving force. That's a whole other conversation. But I don't like the rhetoric that they use because it's too inflammatory. Are you trying to get clicks and views, or are you trying to change the country?
No matter what, getting into a new war with Iran, but no issue has hurt him as much as this one has with his own base. And it's only his doing. It's only him to blame for this. Digging in his heels, finally relenting now when he could have relented all the way back in February after that binder fiasco. Or before that, preferably, right? Because that was a trick.
Now the release of the files has become inevitable. And finally, Trump says, oh, all right, well, now I support the release of the files. Okay, well, that's because they were going to come out anyway. You were trying to prevent their release 3 days ago, and now you say you support them being released. By the way, it goes...
Again, why? Just why? Just tell me why. Maybe you have a great reason. But if you don't tell me, then I can't support you.
Without saying, Trump could release the files himself. He could sign an executive order as the president of the United States, and the DOJ and the FBI could release them without an act of Congress, without any of it.
That's true. That is very true. He could do that. He could have given that assignment to Bondi, like originally, supposedly, as she said, it's my job to review these files.
That could have been good, but they're on my desk. Well, I meant that they were on my desk, and eventually I'll get to them. Shout out to Morgoth's Hammer over on Rumble. Welcome to the party. Said liked and shared again. Thank you so very, very much. I don't know what's going on with the landscape stream, guys, but I might have to put up the filter. I'm not even asking for money. We only got 5 likes. What are we doing? Hit the fucking like button. Like Morgoth's Hammer.
And release information pertaining to this. That's what she went with and this administration went with for a while. He could do that without this discharge petition. So the fact that it had to go these lengths with Thomas Massie and MTG and Ro Khanna going this route, I think it hurts Trump more because it...
I could have told you about that. Oh, wait, I have been telling you about that for years.
Massie and MTG and Ro Khanna going this route, I think it hurts Trump more because it just shows the cover-up.
Yep, and that's why it's so frustrating when you make me, not you, but when someone makes me side with someone like that. I don't like it, but broken clock is right twice a day.
How much they had to move worlds to get this to happen when Trump wasn't going to do this by default. Quite the contrary, he was covering it up by default.
Could have done that from day one. They released the Amelia Earhart files. They released the JFK files. They could have done it in exactly the same way. Now that Trump is getting behind the release, it makes me think that they're going to come out anyway. And maybe there's nothing criminal, but at the minimum, it's something very embarrassing. Mm-hmm. But it's a political reality that he is.
And it may not be just embarrassing for him. Maybe it has something to do with his family. Maybe it has something to do with the deep state that is above him. I don't know exactly what it is, but something happened. Hey, shout out to the Rage page. Said, come on, you some bitches. Look how excited he gets. Look how excited he gets. Another treat for him. What's that? There you go. Yeah, there you go. And then again, guys, that will get nice and full if we hit the goal. Thank you so very, very much. Very much appreciated. Let's dive right back in.
At the minimum, it's something very embarrassing. But it's a political reality that he has just had to accept at this point. And you have to wonder, why did he not do this from the very beginning? Bingo. Because even if the files get released this week, and I don't mean to be this guy, but it's just true. Let's say that the DOJ is compelled to release the files by an act of Congress, and maybe they release something. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Let's say they even release something. Can the trust between the base and Trump really ever be repaired?
Wait, sorry, I missed that.
Maybe they don't. Let's say they even release something. Can the trust between the base and Trump really ever be repaired?
Yes. Yes, and I'll tell you exactly how. Tell me what changed. Tell me what changed. I understand that politics is not just about, well, I want to do a thing, so I'm going to get to do the thing. If there is a reason why you changed your mind, tell me. And if it's a good reason, I'm back on your side. And again, I'm still Team Trump, but I'll be back happy to put my MAGA hat in frame. That's how. But without that, no. You're just another president. You're just another president who's done some great things. Now, that ain't nothing. But you used to be Donald Trump, the greatest American president, and only getting better. That's over. That's over.
Can the trust between the base and Trump really ever be repaired? And I don't mean that purely as a rhetorical question, although I suppose it kind of is one. But can you truly repair the breach in trust? At the end of the day, Trump would not have released the files if he could get away with it. And he tried to. He tried to trick us. He tried to lie to us.
Exactly, he did.
Yep, Lasissimo, welcome to the party. Said Trump is uniparty. Both him and Biden were covering it up.
Bingo.
Yeah. It seemed like that wasn't the case, but clearly that is the case. Let's get some more of these chats here. Second said you can refuse to accept it if you want. If they follow the religion, they're absolutely part of it. Islam, definitely. Did I know that you were talking about that just based on this and not fully reading your conversation? If I'm right, then you know. There's, again, I will bring up Bill Maher. Bill Maher had that Religulous documentary, and he was talking, he's like, well, I don't know about all this and whatever. And, he's making fun of Christians, and then he goes over to make fun of Islam, and he keeps trying to talk to this woman about, well, is it okay to kill apostates and stuff like that? And she's like, no, but, well, I mean, it just is kind of a thing that if you're going to leave, then, it shouldn't be this and that and that and that. And he goes on to like stoning gays and stuff like that. And listen, if you want to stone gays, then have some fucking balls and say, I want to stone. Well, somebody's going to clip that. I'm not doing that. But say it with your goddamn say it with your goddamn chest. Say it with your goddamn chest. And they don't. It's pure evil. I mean, I think all dogma is evil. But again, different conversation. I did have, so those of you know who there was supposed to be a guest today, did he text me back? Nope. He didn't get back to me, so I was like, okay, we'll cover this, but I did send him the link, so he might show up, so we might be, having a little bit of a different conversation, but, let's dive back in here.
He tried to trick us. He tried to lie to us.
Exactly, he did try. And to answer Nick's question, I'm not sure. I think a lot of people will stick with him no matter what. There is a cult-like surrounding to him from some circles. I mean, you see the cat turds and Jack Posobiec's out there.
Yep, and the 36% of people who are still with Trump on Epstein. The poll isn't do you still like him? The poll is do you support his attitude on Epstein? Quality said Trump ended up looking like one of them for the Epstein shit.
Bingo.
Exactly. I agree. Well, I agree with you. Quality said though he can redeem himself by not playing the games anymore. He could, but he won't. Morgoth's Hammer said there are Christians here in the US of A who think homosexuals should be executed too. Yeah, sure, I know that, but they that's not a core part of the religion, and I would argue that most Christians just don't agree with homosexuality, don't want people to be stoned in the streets for it. Maybe some do, but
To him from some circles. I mean, you see the cat turds and Jack Posobiec's out there talking about this, acting like there's nothing here and we should never even talk about this issue. But there are parts of Trump's base too that this is just too unforgivable. We can't go back. It's too duplicitous. this sometimes in combination with other issues that part of his base didn't like: the war with Iran, the Israel first mentality, continuing to aid Ukraine, not engaging in mass deportations, not shutting down the deep state, but actually actively encouraging it in many cases. A lot of people have different problems. I don't know how to answer his question. I think it's a little bit of both. Some parts of the base, it is recoverable. Other parts of the base, it isn't. But it could.
Well, okay, so that's a good point. That the base, at this point, the base is people willing to say, I don't care that you're downplaying this. I'm still with you. So I guess there's nothing to mend there. It's the rest of us, that part of the base. And, just the splintering is not good. It is not good. Hey, shout out to the captain of the Moral Felon crew. Welcome to the party, sir. So Trump can play games with the Dems, but not with his supporters. He made us look bad and lost the midterms. Dilly to that. Dilly to that. Spot on, bro. Spot on. Welcome to the party. Morgoth's Hammer said all religions are totally up to interpretation. Finding crazy muzzies is like finding crazy Christians. See, again, I will disagree. While it is easy to find crazies in both, if you line up 100 Christians and you line up 100 Muslims, I would say that just randomly, we would probably get 25 to 30% of the Christians being a little out there. Whether they're, too much of Bible thumpers or they really believe some wild, crazy shit. Line up the Muslims and it would be flipped. Maybe 30% of them are, chill and just happen to believe. And the rest of them, they might say that they're chill, but they actually want to America.
Parts of the base, it is recoverable. Other parts of the base, it isn't. But it could produce a lame duck Congress if, both sides don't behave the same. And I don't think it's likely that they behave the same.
Who's Daniel Pikachu?
Of his base.
And it failed. Now we're going to see it. And now we're supposed to say, oh, okay, well, I guess we trust Trump again. He tried to get away with it and failed. Oh, so then that begs the question, well, who really is he?
Who really is he? Who really is he? I think that this falls right in line, depending on what the why actually is, with who we know Trump to be. Like I said before, it seemed very obvious that Trump was always about what he wanted. And it was convenient for us that we had somebody that wanted to fight that hard and wanted the same things that we wanted. Now, our desires and his desires are starting to divert. And like Adam said, you can fuck with the Democrats, but not with your supporters.
So then that begs the question, well, who really is he?
Hey, shout out to Average Debate Enjoyer. Welcome to the party. Indeed, we got a debate coming up. I got to get what are the details on that? I just looked at it really quick, but taking you down, brother. Taking you down. Welcome to the party. Liberty said his argument on the debate was effing your cousin is good for society because it makes people dumb, and dumb people are more religious. I'm not exaggerating at all. I mean, I guess I agree. I agree that dumb people are more religious, but I don't know if that's the way to go around it. Baked Bisquick said Trump is doing everything he said he would. No, he's not. Where's the attitude that he had when he was running of how badly he wanted to get people like Kash Patel and Dan Bongino in there to release these files? Now he's like, oh, well, why do you even care? If you didn't see it, let's watch again how he is responding.
Why wait for Congress to release the Epstein files? Why not just do it now?
It's not the question that I mind. It's your attitude. I think you are a terrible reporter. It's the way you ask these questions. You start off with a man who's highly respected, asking him a horrible, insubordinate, and just a terrible question. And you could even ask that same exact question nicely. You're all psyched up. Somebody psychs you over at ABC. They're going to psych it.
This was the deal, man. This was the guy, just Rosie O'Donnell. That was that. What happened to him? Now, I don't even necessarily disagree, but you can tell that he's obfuscating. It wasn't a bad question. It wasn't a disrespectful question. And he rants on this. And I'm calling it projection. And of course, we need our... the projection whistle. Echo or no echo?
You're all psyched up. Somebody psychs you over at ABC. They're going to psych. You're a terrible person and a terrible reporter. As far as the Epstein files is, I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. I threw him out
Prove it. I believe you, but prove it.
of my club many years ago because I thought he was a sick pervert. But I guess I turned out to be right. But you know who does have? Bill Clinton. Larry Summers, who ran Harvard, was with him every single night, every single weekend. They lived together. They went to his island many times. I never did. Andrew Weissman, I hear. All these guys were friends of his. You don't even talk about those people. You just keep going on the Epstein files. And what the Epstein is...
Oh, honey, it's called a hypothetical. A hypothetical. It's a thing that didn't happen, but theoretically could happen.
This is a Democrat hoax to try and get me not to be able to talk about the $21 trillion that I talked about today. It's a hoax. Now, I just got a little report, and I put it in my pocket, of all the money that he's given to Democrats. He gave me none, zero, no money to me, but he gave money to Democrats. And people are wise to your hoax. And ABC's is your company, your crappy company, is one of the perpetrators. And I'll tell you something. I think the license should be taken away from ABC because your news is so fake and it's so wrong. And we have a great commissioner, chairman, who should look at that because I think when you come in.
And then he just bullshits more and more and more. Average debate enjoyer said Trump was only asked about it. It was never a campaign promise. Lex Friedman was the first to ask him. I mean, that's splitting hairs to me. That's splitting hairs to me. If you're on the campaign trail and you said yes, if somebody asked you, are you going to do thing? And you say, yes, I'm going to do thing. Whether or not that's a technical campaign promise is irrelevant to me. I can't do it. I can't do it on I can't do it on command. It's just gonna come to me. No, see, that was bad. See. Shout out. Yeah. Gaz is good. Like I said, I am definitely I am definitely happy with a lot of what he's doing. I also voted for him to close the border and deport. What I didn't necessarily ask for, we were talking about, we're going to start with the criminals and MS-13 and all that stuff. And then some random girl from, I think it was Stanford or one of these places, I don't fucking remember, wrote a letter to the school administration saying, can we please not fund Israel? Deported. That's not what I voted for. So if you deserve to be deported, get the fuck out. But there's rules to this shit. I am only here. I'm a first generation American. I was born in Jersey, but my parents are immigrants and they came the right way. Why can't you? Why can't they?
Trump again. He tried to get away with it and failed. So then that begs the question.
They all are. They are all terrible people. And politics is full of terrible people. That is the bottom line here.
He tried to get away with it and failed. So then that begs the question, well, who really is he? And what else has he tried to get away with? And what has he succeeded in getting away with?
Ooh. Hopefully that goes way worse than my debate with Jim Bob. So that even though I still will probably lose, people are still talking more about that. But they probably won't because Mormons are still Christians and the atheists is the atheists and blah, 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 blah.
You have to wonder if he promised he would deliver on the Epstein files and only because there was this groundswell of...
Mods, as we got a lot going on in the chat, please make sure that you check out the vertical chat as well. There's a lot going on over there that I could use your help with.
Opposition from both parties. Did he finally relent and keep the promise? Is he even capable of keeping any other promise? Is he willing to keep any other promise? The one guy on the Republican side that made this possible, Thomas Massie. And that guy is Trump's number one enemy now.
I take your point. We're having a meeting about trade deals with the Middle East that will bring billions of dollars. Does the press want to ask anything about this? Ask this. Well, I don't think she wasn't asking him. I agree with you that it was not relevant to what they were talking about. But that is what journalists are supposed to do. I'm not saying ABC is good with journalism, but in that moment, that is what you're supposed to do. That is what you're supposed to do.
Thomas Massie. And that guy's Trump's #1 enemy now.
What a coincidence, by the way, that he's Trump's #1 enemy. I'm sure it's just his ideas on trade policy, right? It's just his ideas on, regulations and his agricultural reforms that he wants. I'm sure it's just that, right? Not the fact that it was him at the forefront of this effort to finally release the Epstein files, and his opposition to the Israel first mentality, and his opposition to the big abominable $5 trillion to the federal debt bill. I'm sure it was none of the things that Trump will, claim it to be, but it is the Epstein stuff. It is the Israel stuff. It is the spending stuff. It's no coincidence.
Trump is making fun of his wife. Trump is calling for him to be primaried. AIPAC is marshaling millions of dollars in Thomas Massie's district to prevent him from winning his seat again.
Totally, because it's about America first, right? Thomas Massie, we got to stop that guy if we care about America, right? What even is the conversation? Secretary said the reason why Trump is responding the way he is because they do that at every single opportunity and completely ignore asking other shit. That's the real problem. I'd be tired of their shit too. If I would give you this, because they do this, but it's after he's answered the question and then they ask him again. Like the most famous example is the David Duke. Will you disavow David Duke? Will you disavow David Duke? It's totally fine for him to be frustrated and be like, fuck you, I'm not answering this fucking question, you're annoying as shit. When he's already answered the question a million times. He has not answered this question. This is a question that people, Americans, his supporters, care about. And it's just like, fuck, I don't care what you care about. I care what I care about. And I ain't about it. Adam said we have a free press. That is the American way. Not even Trump gets to tell them what they can ask. And again, I don't necessarily, I'm not here to stand up for ABC News and the journalists that are constantly trying to take him down. But in that moment, that was bad. Exactly.
Coincidence.
Trump is making fun of his wife. Trump is calling for him to be primaried. AIPAC is marshaling millions of dollars in Thomas Massie's district to prevent him from winning his seat again. So it's too little, too late. It's like I said before. Just because Trump has now finally relented against the
What answer did he give?
inevitable, now that he has acquiesced to America first, no, sorry, you don't get to climb back onto your throne and enjoy the same credibility. What needs to happen now is a transition.
He answers questions all the time. And that's why I'm so fucking frustrated, because even though he rambles and does the weave, he gives you the answer of what you're looking for if you are asking a legitimate question. That was a legitimate question, and he did not give the answer. When you ask stupid questions, he will, do stuff like that. But even then, what was the clip with Quiet Piggy? That is the Donald Trump that I know. Oh, we're not fucking talking about that right now. Ask me about that tomorrow. Fair, based. But listen, this is a Democrat hoax. Blah, 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 blah. Pretty gay.
Credibility. What needs to happen now is a transition. Trump is a...
Wait a minute. We got to run that back. Did Nick just come out as trans?
What needs to happen now is a transition. Trump is a lame duck.
Nikki Fuentes. Nicolette.
2026, most likely he's going to lose the House. 2027, people are going to start to run.
Yeah, it's hard to deny. I think that is the most likely scenario right now. Occam's razor, gun to my head. That's what I would predict. The Democrats take the House, maybe the Senate, probably just the House, if I'm speaking honestly about my thoughts right now. Not that I think that is, that important in the grand scheme of things. We're still going to have the same wars, the same, military industrial complex, the same big banks lobby in tandem with them, the same regulatory state, the same welfare state. Taxes are not going to change during this presidency. He'd veto it. The Democrats get back in power, they might raise taxes each bracket by 2% or add a few more regulations, but we'd still have the same extortion apparatus. We'd still have the same warfare apparatus. We'd still have deep state cover-ups like the Epstein scandal.
Yep. And, it doesn't mean that all those things are not important, but this is important. This is important. And it's weird to me that people are willing to act like it's not. I don't understand why, unless you are willing to say, and I disagree with this position, but if you're willing to say that Democrats are so detrimental to America that I do not care what any Republican does, I will always go for my tribe over the Democrats. Okay, I don't think that's a good way to go about it, but at least that's logical. If that's not your position, then how are you making that distinction? See, I disagree. I think Trump absolutely is America first, but his understanding of what America first means versus what I want America first to mean is a little bit different. The clear connection to Israel is not America first, but in general, I think he thinks that it is. I absolutely think he's America first. Unless that's what you're saying, that he's mostly America first, but he puts Israel too high. Fair enough. But this isn't a stream about how Trump is so bad. Trump bad. No, I love that this is our administration. I just want them to do better because I know that they can. That's it. Jesse, welcome, said, I don't see Democrats as Democrats anymore. They're like communists and socialists. Well, shout out to Mom Donnie. Pickle, welcome, said the Democrats are flat out evil. They are not just detrimental to America, but to humans as a species. They must never gain power again. And here's I was just bringing that up and saying, if that's your position, then okay, this makes a little bit more sense to me. But if that is genuinely what we believe, then our rhetoric should be enough to get enough people to understand they're the bad ones. Doesn't matter how stupid people are. Our messaging should do better. And so if that's not the case and they are so bad, then we need better messaging. So, hey, shout out to Dr. Evil Genius. Welcome to the party. So it's amazing to me that people care about the CSA unless their favorite politician might be involved. What about the kids? All out the window. Bingo. Yeah. Like, I don't know how long you've been here, but you see me fighting against all these MAGA people who are just like, no, it's fine. That's bullshit. That's cucked. That is cucked. So maybe Trump cucked you guys. Maybe Trump cucked you guys. Maybe Trump didn't cuck himself. He cucked you guys. Welcome to the party. Dr. Nova Genius is the man. All right. So we'll hop over to this discussion earlier today on Piers Morgan, where they're talking about all this stuff. And in general, can the White House be trusted?
Social media whatsoever. And now it turns out that it wasn't bizarre. It was untrue. He had an unbelievable social media footprint, but nobody was sharing that information with the public. What do you make of this?
Well, certainly if someone self-radicalizes in any way, any direction, they're going to be engaging with extremist content. We've seen this in all forms of terrorism that exist out there. And certainly you'll see this with somebody who's a political assassin. It's the same thing. It's political violence. And the FBI here, look, I know Kash Patel.
So, okay, Adam's saying Trump's a narcissist, and when he's not feeling the love, he attacks anyone. When his agenda aligns with America First, it's good, but when it's not, it's bad. So does that preclude him? Like, is it such that he's like, what if he is like, just for the sake of argument, what if we're saying that whatever foreign policy the stuff he does that does not put Americans first, if he thinks that it is supposed to help Americans and he's just wrong, what do you do with that? I'm not saying that that's the case. I'm just saying, if that is the case, what does that mean? Are you allowed to be wrong and not put America, incidentally not put America first? Or is it just the results only?
I think it's political violence. And the FBI here, look, I know Kash Patel. I saw what he put out. He said the FBI has done a tremendous amount. I mean, he put out all the numbers of interviews, of polling everything. Okay, well, if that's true, and then what came out now is also true, we need answers. Why there are additional revelations about a would-be assassin that I think everybody knows and agrees, had he been successful, would have dramatically changed the trajectory of this country.
Yeah, Dr. Evil Genius again. So everyone seems to believe the political opposition is evil. The word is diluted now. Evil means everything I don't like. That is, again, the semantic obfuscation. The twisting of words or use of those words to help your point. Now, I think there legitimately are aspects of evil on the left. I think there is aspects of evil on the far right. But in terms of where or if there's any evil, one, I definitely think there is evil in the political realm. And I do think the left is far more engaged in it. But it's not nearly as strong as people make it seem. It's just overused and it's not good. Because what we're talking about with the Epstein stuff, that is evil. That is evil. You're like, gay marriage, is that evil? Or do you just not like it?
But he knows and agrees, had he been successful, would have dramatically changed the trajectory of this country, probably world history, and taken us into a really dangerous and dark place, probably the worst abyss the country would have entered since the Civil War. So I think that there have to be some answers here about how any of this could be missed. And by the way, if for some reason what has come out from Miranda Devine, Tucker Carlson is, if it's a false flag, if it's not accurate, whatever that may be, then they should also make that clear to us. The FBI should come out and say, no, this isn't real. By the way, I think they haven't done that because I do think it's real. And I do think that additional information was found. So there needs to be an explanation for this. And there needs to be an understanding of how anybody is supposed to believe that a guy who was going to kill a president somehow, and who was 20 something years old, somehow wasn't engaging online with extreme content and leaving quite a digital footprint.
So starting off with Thomas Crooks, of course, the July 13th shooter. And again, we're not, when it comes to the FBI, we're not getting a lot of eye there, are we? A shout out to Dr. Evil Genius with the big $10. Thank you so very, very much. That jumped over here to support the stream. Thank you so much. I hope Morty lives forever. I also hope that, but I don't think it's going to happen. So we're going to put this right in the Morty Memorial Fund for when he passes. Thank you so very, very much. And of course, that makes you the new sponsor of the stream. Very much appreciated.
Somehow wasn't engaging online with extreme content and leaving quite a digital footprint.
Yeah, I mean, Anna Kasparian, welcome back to you. It just begs so many questions, this. If Tucker Carlson and Miranda Devine, the New York Post, are doing the FBI's job on a would-be presidential assassin, that raises enormous alarm bells to me about what the FBI are doing. Now, we don't know yet what of all this information that's erupted in the last week is new or not new to the FBI. But if any of it is new, frankly, I find that utterly inexplicable.
Shout out again to the sponsor of the stream.
What do you make of this?
Well, I agree with you and Buck in that
Trump it.
We have a real problem on our hands here in that the reporting that we've seen from Tucker Carlson in particular really does raise a ton of questions about the FBI's investigation and handling into this. Now, there were a lot of things that he covered that really stood out to me, namely the fact that, you have this would-be assassin who in late 2019, late as September of 2019, he's posting things on YouTube comments where he's essentially getting increasingly violent on behalf of President Donald Trump. Donald Trump was president at the time, and he's willing to use political violence in order to defend him. But then in January of 2020, and remember, this is 2 months prior to the COVID lockdowns, all of a sudden a switch flips and he starts criticizing Trump, and his criticism of Trump gets increasingly violent.
Like a Fed. I think he's a Fed. Hey, shout out to Hector with the gifted membership. Thank you so very, very much. Of course, another treat for Morty. And we will add that to the Morty Fun. Who got that membership? Rev Russ. Make sure you come on over. Oh, I got to drop the link to the Discord over there. You are now a full member. So come on through. And guys, that Discord is absolutely free to join. But there is just extra stuff if you are a member. So thank you. So very, very much. Let's dive right back in.
Starts criticizing Trump, and his criticism of Trump gets increasingly violent. And the comments were being flagged by other YouTube users. And the real question here is, first of all, how did he go from one extreme to another in regard to his feelings about President Donald Trump? At first, I thought maybe it was due to the COVID era, the COVID lockdowns. But again, the critical comments toward Trump began in January of 2020. One other question that Tucker Carlson's reporting raised that I really do think needs to be answered is who this Willie Tepes guy is. Because as soon as the would-be assassin switched over to hating Donald Trump, you have this Willie Tepes guy in the comments urging him to use political violence. And then after that, suddenly, you don't hear
not gay, but thank you.
anything from this assassin. You don't see any more online activity from this individual. It's really strange.
MAGA is not dead. No, we are bringing it back. Fuck Trump's leadership. We don't need it. For MAGA. For America, right now, we do kind of need it. But for MAGA, we do not need Trump as the figurehead. MAGA is bigger than Trump.
Yeah, Chris Rufo, he's just really strange. All of this. You know, I found it so weird that we were hearing nothing. And then to suddenly hear an avalanche of information, which is incredibly incriminating and should have been flagged at the time and was being flagged by random people on YouTube, but not taken up by any authorities. But the fact it's been the media through Tucker Carlson, through the New York Post, Miranda Devine, who've been leading the revelation element of this seems to me so weird.
It does. And look, I would assume that the FBI had all of this information prior, as well as a host of other comments, social media posts, search histories, et cetera. You know, if a private investigator can find it on the outside using only public tools, certainly the FBI, which has subpoena power, which has backdoor access.
There's just nothing there.
To all of these digital platforms should have this information. And if that is the case, which it almost certainly is, the question is then, why didn't the FBI publish any of this? Why didn't the FBI share any of this with Congress?
That's all I want to know. Give me the answer and I'm back on board.
I think an even more serious problem. And Kash Patel, of course, came into the job promising to be the most transparent FBI in history, promising to release files about Epstein, promising to release all the information related to the Charlie Kirk assassination. And he hasn't done so. And I think the pressure needs to be on Patel as the point person, as the man in charge, to release all of the information about all of these questions of urgent public concern. Look, I support the president, I support Trump, but we have to be honest when the administration is falling short. And
I don't like that the Indian guy is fucking shit up. All right, come on. Represent the team, bro. This is why they think we bathe in feces.
This is one of those cases.
Yeah, Wajahat, welcome back to you. I think everyone kind of agrees.
Shout out to all of you guys. Yeah, so we have between the two streams 320. Oh no, that's not that. We have 10 and 300 people on the two different streams. Guys, I very, very much appreciate you being here. If you are new, of course, I am Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of Common Sense. And I'm live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, and sometimes whenever I feel like it. So hit that subscribe. And you know YouTube sucks with those notifications. So ring the bell to never miss an Indian Jesus party ever again.
Wajahat, welcome back to you. I think everyone kind of agrees it's very...
I blame Patel because he's the director of the FBI.
Wajahat, welcome...
No, because he's Indian. We just hate those Indian people.
Back to you. I think everyone kind of agrees it's very odd. It does go to the heart of the administration's claim before and after...
Indian American. Thank you very much.
After the election, they're going to be the most transparent ever, both with Epstein and now with this. And I think we're beginning to see similar undertones with the Charlie Kirk investigation. There seems to be a surprise.
If we hit $500 on a stream, then yes, Morty can host the next one.
Of transparency. That seems to be what's happening, which, as I said at the start in my monologue, it just fuels conspiracy theories of the very kind that this administration was pledging to end. So I don't really understand why they think this is a successful strategy, given their view of transparency. What do you make of this?
Fair. I think he is chill. I do think he is. He's like pre-woke. or post-woke. Maybe post-woke is better. I wouldn't call him woke, but he's definitely not non-woke.
Strategy, given their view of transparency. What do you make of this?
Well, I was on your show last year when the assassination attempt happened, and I'm glad a year later everyone seems to agree. I've always been waiting for more information on this shooter because it doesn't make sense, to me at least, with what we know, that this was a young man who apparently was obsessed with guns, radicalized in part, we don't know how, who voted for a Republican once in his life in 2022, as Anna said, was gung-ho for Trump, then all of a sudden a switch flipped. We don't know why that switch flipped. And then all of a sudden, he was out. He was out of the news, gone.
It's almost like we're seeing a pattern here.
Has said on your show that we need more transparency. We still don't have the hospital records of Donald Trump being treated that day. So to know the extent of the injuries that Donald Trump suffered, with lack of transparency, more and more conspiracy theories are fueled. Now, you look at Charlie Kirk's murder. You look at the bungling, let's be honest, the utter bungling of that investigation by Kash Patel of the FBI.
Yeah, the director of the FBI.
Charlie Kirk had to, Tyler Robinson self-reported, if you will, because a family member said, hey, you have to turn yourself in. But before that, the FBI was floundering. Furthermore, we know, especially on the right wing with Candace Owens and others, they have no faith in that investigation. They believe in certain conspiracy theories. And then now you see the Epstein.
Well, and that's going, in the other direction. I don't know why it took me this long to realize it, but I heard someone else say it, and it just like clicked that post Daily Wire, Candace Owens just does like true crime drama, and it's like political, but it's going to be on the list with a bunch of other typical female true crime type of things. No?
They have no faith in that investigation. They believe in certain conspiracy theories. And then now you see the Epstein scandal, right? I've always said with the Epstein scandal, if there's nothing to hide, there's nothing to lose, there should be full transparency, release the files. And more now you see a strange alignment between the right and the left with a complete, utter lack of faith in this FBI, in this Department of Justice. And people just want the truth, Pierce. Tell us the truth. If you got nothing to hide, you got nothing to lose, just tell us the truth. Doesn't matter if it implicates Democrats or Republicans or progressives or conservatives. We want to know the truth about these consequential events that have happened in the past year.
Yep. And Section said Candace is and always has been a lefty. Her colors are just showing now. So she did come onto the scene as a lefty, but I think I have a feeling it's more about the woman thing. I think at the end of the day, women are just women. Some women are more based than other women, but all women are feminists.
We've reached an extraordinary moment in the history of Uncensored where not only have all four panelists pretty well agreed, but you and I have reached complete alignment on an issue, which I just never thought we'd see that day happen. So
we reached alignment on Israel.
Near alignment on some of it, yeah. But this is a complete alignment, and I'm happy to see it. But in a way, that says everything. The fact that everybody basically agrees here, I just don't really understand. On the Epstein thing, for example, I don't see why nobody at the administration understands that if you're not fully transparent, it all becomes immeasurably worse.
Yep, and our running poll has now gone down to 29% support Trump's attitude on Epstein. It's not a good one.
And self-harming, because if you're the transparent administration and all you're doing is suppressing...
I'll give you most, but yes, most women are feminists.
Self-harming, because if you're the transparent administration and all you're doing is suppressing information which could incriminate pedophiles or whatever they are, obviously that everyone's going to lose their mind about it. I hope now it's gone through the House and the Senate, you just hope that Donald Trump sees sense. I don't know what's been stopping him, but he just puts everything out. It worries me when I see now, for example, that they're going to take a good long look at it again and see whether any of it needs to be redacted for legal reasons.
Marianne said after what happened to Trump in the shooting botched security and then botched security with Charlie Kirk, why is security so bad and horrible? Security needs to be changed or fired. Changed, I'm sure, but we have to understand that having security isn't like a magic force field. I remember the day of the Charlie Kirk thing. I was posting videos on TikTok, and there was a bunch more lefties over there, and they were talking about like I don't remember exactly what it was, but it couldn't have been this, it couldn't have been that because of security and so on and so forth. And I was like, wait, do you actually think that if somebody has a security guard that means they're impervious to bullets? That's not how that works. But I mean, clearly, there are things that need to be at least updated. What does that even mean? That at the end of the day, most women will, especially the ones who are out here girl bossing about different, specifically on feminism, that feminism is ingrained. It's just ingrained. It always comes back to typical feminist not taking accountability, fantasizing stories, going off of emotions, all that kind of stuff.
Again, and see whether any of it needs to be redacted for legal reasons. In the moment all the people who want transparency hear a phrase like that, they will assume they're not getting transparency, and the conspiracies will rage on. And they may not even be conspiracies.
They may not.
Well, how often do you see effectively a unanimous House vote and a unanimous Senate vote on an issue of any consequence whatsoever? So to your point about the panel here agrees, I mean, we have Democrats and Republicans pretty opposed on a whole range of things, and suddenly there's a willingness to do something that I dare say is bipartisan, which is this act to release more, or rather this bill to release more of Jeffrey Epstein related information. So clearly the message has been heard. Donald Trump is going to sign this, by the way. In terms of how we got to this point, I think it's a combination of things. One is that the Epstein investigation and all things around Epstein predating Donald Trump was handled abysmally. And there were a whole range of, I mean, I know we could do hours of show just on that, but that is going to feed into a sense of extreme distrust in the system, rightfully so. And then now with Trump taking office, the promise of transparency, look, the folders with some of those influencers, that was a bad moment.
So, Jenna, would you have an issue with somebody saying that most men are patriarchal?
I know some of those people, and they recognize that it was a bad moment. It wasn't a good look for the administration. What you saw here was one of the very rare times. I mean, I speak to a lot of Trump voters all across the country every single day, millions of them. And this was one of the rare times where Trump made a decision where they said, no, sorry, that's not going to fly. And I think that Trump mostly finds this to be a distraction from his policies. He said some of this, so I'm just repeating kind of his position. But the Trump base said no. And this time around, the Trump base is getting their way. They want the files that were promised, and I think we're going to get pretty much all of them. If there are redactions that seem excessive, well, then we're going to go through another round of this.
We are.
Yep.
We are. And then this is the point, Anna, I think, is that it will never end until everything's out there. And, you know, there may well be legitimate. It's interesting. The one congressman, I think, who voted against the release, his argument was that if you just splurge everything out, it would be pretty unprecedented, because normally there would be protection of individuals who may face criminal prosecutions.
Unprecedented? You mean like a worldwide cabal of PDF files running the world? Yeah.
And that this, if you just put it all out.
That's what I was trying to say. It wasn't a negative thing. It's just when we see people acting like people, it makes sense. Like if you see a Christian doing this, what most Christians pray. Oh my goodness, how dare you say, like, come on, get out of here.
Who may face criminal prosecutions, and that this, if you just put it all out there, you might, adversely influence their right to a fair trial and so on. I understand.
To be fair, if they can't take basic jokes like that, then they ain't going to last here that long anyway.
And the argument, but I think we're way beyond that stage, and the sequence of events still is bemusing to me. Because you had the Trump administration, you had the Trump team before the election.
Behave. A woman said, I'm for the patriarchy. We would be fucked if men acted like us. Let men be men. Let men be men. And women, women. These are the kind of women that I want to have here. If you hear the word feminist, you're like, what do you mean? That is what I mean.
Taking everybody up the hill to transparency on Epstein, gagging to do it, then winning power, then sending their people out onto shows like mine, and saying we're going to reveal absolutely everything. Then the Pam Bondi farce, which was a complete farce, and then the real moment to me, and I was.
Oh my goodness! They only make 70 cents on the dollar. Why would I? Well, they can't pay. That is funny.
Farce.
And I'm not going to explain it if you don't get it.
It was a complete farce. And then the real moment to me, and I was reminded of it by seeing him at the dinner for the Crown.
No! If you want to watch the video, go into the description and watch the video.
Prince of Saudi Arabia last night.
Actually, I'm going to back that up, though.
I was seeing him at the dinner for the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia last night. Elon Musk was back in the fold. was, we all remember when he fell out with Trump, he suddenly, out of nowhere, posts on X,
Who blamed women? I don't think anybody blamed women. I just said that most women are feminists, even if they don't know it. God damn it.
We all remember when he fell out with Trump, he suddenly, out of nowhere, posts on X, breaking news, Trump's in the Epstein files, that's why he doesn't want this out, and have a good day, Donald, whatever it was. And that led to the investigation being very quickly shut down.
Mm-hmm. And Ginger Best, I agree. Trump is our best president of all time. I'm from former I can't talk now. Former Soviet Union. You all better support Trump and love him. I do. But if you can't have issues with the people that you love, and again, you were using love in a, then what is that? What is that? Already got 2. How many you got, loser? Whoopsies.
And that led to the investigation being very quickly shut down. And it was that moment for me when I went, whoa, what's happening here?
Well, look, I think you're absolutely right in that the American people aren't going to let this go. And I think it's a beautiful thing that you have Americans, both on the left and right, who want justice, who want disclosure, who want transparency, and they want this president to follow through on some of his campaign promises, including, releasing all.
I used this example earlier in the stream. Oh, now we know who you are. Now we know who you are.
President to follow through on some of his campaign promises, including, releasing all of the files related to both JFK's assassination and MLK's assassination as well. And he's fallen short on that. But I just want to kind of caution everyone who's been kind of celebrating the vote in Congress yesterday. Yes, it was a near unanimous vote. Clay Higgins was the only Republican lawmaker in the House who voted against it because he shares the concerns that it would lead to injustice for people who are named in the files but were cleared of any wrongdoing. But I would just venture to...
Which, again, I think is a reasonable fear, but just doesn't rise to the level of how serious this all is. Let's shout out boy Boxy with the 149 super sticker. Thank you so very, very much. And another treat. Bro, take it. What happened? There you go. Maybe he's feeling sick today. Maybe we need some more treats to make sure he is living well. Thank you so very, very much, sir. Of course, that adds to the Morty Memorial Fund. That adds to the stream goal and gets us one more closer to push-ups. Thank you, sir.
Justice for people who are named in the files but were cleared of any wrongdoing. But I would just venture to say that our justice system has failed Epstein's survivors. It has failed the American people. And to put that system on a pedestal when it really needs to be gutted and reformed at this point, I think is a weak argument, to say the least. But one thing that I would caution about is the fact that immediately after the House held its vote to release the Epstein files yesterday, the House Oversight Committee started putting out subpoenas to various banks that had alleged ties to Epstein. Now, these investigations could lead to an argument that we're not going to release the files because it's part of an active investigation. So I'm worried that there might have been some sort of backroom deal.
But on that, I think, as Buck said,
go ahead.
I just don't think that's going to fly. If they try and do that, I don't
think it's going to fly with the American people. I agree. But I do think that might be the possible plot here. The American people aren't going to let it go. So if they think that it's going to work.
I don't want to step on my colleague's time here, but just really quickly, we don't know how he got the money. And this is one thing that I'm kind of astonished still. You can just do a quick Google search or Grok or whatever. Epstein was worth over $600 million. And people want to say that it was tax advice. I've got a tax advisor, guys. He's not worth $600 million. I mean, this is crazy. There's no way.
No, I agree. I think
he was just really, really good with numbers.
The money trail on Epstein is a bit like the trail on Thomas Crooks until now, is that it's been wrapped in complete mystery. Chris Rufo, I mean, like I said, I'm going to make a point again. It's very unusual to get such unanimous kind of shared opinion about this, which I think, as Anna said, it goes to the heart of this, which is it's become a kind of bipartisan thing where people on the left and right are united in wanting this stuff out there. So I don't think any attempt to hold stuff back going forward is going to work. I think it's going to cause a lot more problems. What is your best theory about why Trump hasn't moved faster to reveal all this, given that he was indicating he wanted to? For what it's worth, I interviewed David Boies, who was one of the top criminal lawyers in American history. He was Virginia Giuffre's attorney. He represented another.
Remember, that's the Prince Andrew chick. And I'm hoping that at least from speculation that they can be, well, maybe it's this. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Because right now I just have nothing. I have no idea why this would happen.
Number of other of the victims with his firm. And a few weeks ago, he came on and said he's seen the files and there is nothing that incriminates Donald Trump criminally. But there was stuff in there, which in his opinion would lead to prosecutions of between 6 and 12 high-profile men. Now, could it be, I just simply posit this as a theory, that it's not Trump who's worried about Trump, but Trump may be worried about some of the other people who maybe he knows, friends, who knows, right? I don't know. Are there other
That's possible. Very possible.
people who may be fearing criminal prosecution?
And that makes sense because in general, it'd be like, oh, we need to get these files out. I don't necessarily buy that he wouldn't think one step ahead and be like, well, maybe some of the people that I need are in this list. But again, something happened. Something happened and he changed his mind. I just want to know what the fuck changed your mind.
We're putting heat on him not to reveal this.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly possible. It's also plausible, given the network of associates around Jeffrey Epstein. We know that these were some of the most powerful and influential people all over the world. Certainly people that have the capacity to do lobbying, to do high pressure, to dangle donations where need be. And so your theory, of course, we'll have to get the facts, but it's certainly one possibility that should be explored. But there's a broader question here, because it's not just Epstein or Crooks or Charlie Kirk or JFK or MLK. It's all of these. And so the question...
It's all of them. Before we get to that question, my goodness, Bucks again with the Big Ten said it was always the women and above all the young ones who were the most bigoted adherents of the party, the swallowers of slogans, the amateur spies, and the nosers out of unorthodoxy. Orwell, 1984. Well, dilly to that. Let's get Morty his treat. Where's my applause there? There you go. Why are you so lazy? I hate when he sits on that side because I can't reach, and I'll have it right here. And he'll be like, move it closer. Move it closer. But he is 15. Maybe he's just getting really old. Thank you. So very, very much, sir. A shout out to Orwell and shout out to 1984. Let's see if there's anything else here before we jump back in. Ginger said, anyone who cares, have a good night from MAGA people. Thank you very, very much. 400 people. We got all those likes up. Make sure you hit the like, guys. That stuff really does help. Thank you so very, very much. Shout out to Orwell. All right. DJ said Orwell was an agent. Jesus Christ. All the feds. Fuck the Fed. All right. Dive back in. What's the big question? It's about all of it.
Or Crooks or Charlie Kirk or JFK or MLK. It's all of these. And so the question we need to be asking and really digging into is, what is the common denominator for the reason that all of these bits and pieces of information are not making it through to the public?
Corruption.
Is it the political decision at the top? Is it a middle management decision, people in cabinet positions or oversight positions? Or is it part of the permanent bureaucracy that for whatever reason is loath to release information to the...
Yes. It is both of those things. It is both of those things.
Permanent bureaucracy that for whatever reason is loath to release information to the public? Or is it simple incompetence? You know, for example,
yep, that too.
With the JFK files, it's maybe not as easy as it seems. There's not just a bucket of files in the corner somewhere labeled hidden, secret JFK files. And so we really need to get to the bottom of this. But
shout out again to Box and all of the donations, guys. We are almost at $600 of the Morty Fund. We are 1/3 of the way at the 5 out of 15 super chats of any donation, and $29 out of the 50, guys. Let's hit that goal. Look how puny I am. I need to do some push-ups. Please help me.
Secret JFK files. And so we really need to get to the bottom of this. But I think ultimately the responsibility is on the president, who selects his cabinet deputies, who is the chief executive. He should become more engaged on this. Obviously, he has many things around the world he's thinking about on a daily basis. But these are really important stories. These are really important problems that we really need to get to the bottom of in American life. And so I just find it so frustrating. And if you're a chief executive of a corporation, you're not getting the information that you need from your subordinates. You put the squeeze on those subordinates. You say you have 30 days, get everything gone. I think Trump needs to channel a little bit more of that apprentice spirit and start holding some of his.
You're going to see a lot more over the next 20 years. I can promise you that. A lot more anti-Islam protests are going to be popping up, shall we say. Gonzalez said the mafia isn't an organization. We shouldn't go after the mafia. I don't know if that's the best, if you're still talking about like the KKK, I don't know if that's the best analogy, but I think the other way to put it would be just because, like, there's essentially in the two-party system, there's two options. So the mafia is going to go with one of them. KKK is going to go with one of them. So either way, you're implicating half of the entire country based on a tiny group. That's stupid. That's not how numbers work. That's not how people work.
Needs to channel a little bit more of that apprentice spirit and start holding some of his subordinates to task.
Well, speaking as somebody that competed on Celebrity Apprentice but never got fired because I won, Wajahat, yeah, I mean, that is what a chief executive does, right? You either get the information if you say you want it, and if you feel your team are hiding it, you fire the team and get people that will give it to you. So none of this really makes any sense. What do you think is going on here? What's your gut feeling about why there's been such a concerted attempt to deprive the public from seeing the full story on Epstein?
My take based on the...
Okay, please give me some type of answer. Give me some, I know it's all speculation, but something that I can sink my teeth into and be like, okay, maybe. Okay, maybe.
evidence of my eyes and ears is that we're witnessing one of the biggest political cover-ups in modern history. And if I may, let me just give you an example of why I say that. First and foremost, we know that Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, Pam Bondi openly told the American public, we're going to come in and we're going to release the Epstein files. This is going to show this cabal of corrupt pedophiles and sex traffickers. And then they got in power. They saw the files. What did they do? They closed the Epstein co-conspirator investigation. Done.
That, Jake, is the $1 million question.
Wall Street Journal, you know, that flaming leftist socialist rag, the Wall Street Journal, reported that Pam Bondi told Donald Trump back in April that his name in some capacity was in these files. Donald Trump, when he was asked by an ABC News reporter, he lied about it. Then we know that at least 1,000 plus FBI agents were tasked by the DOJ to find Donald Trump's name and scrub it. They were all sharing the same Excel sheet, which means those FBI agents actually have that information, and we might actually have some whistleblowers from those FBI agents who were tasked from scrubbing the names. What we've also seen so far is Ghislaine Maxwell. Ghislaine Maxwell was serving a 20-year sentence. She was complicit. She's a sex trafficker. No other person with her actual felony has ever been transferred to a minimum security camp in Texas where, Piers, I know you've been covering this, she is being pampered, receiving special treatment. And no one knows to this day why Ghislaine Maxwell got transferred. Finally, I'll also say with Ghislaine Maxwell, she has the goods on this book, this 50-year-old, this 50th birthday party book of Epstein. Wall Street Journal reported it. Donald Trump got furious, threatened to sue them. Wall Street Journal said, go ahead and sue us. We stand by reporting. And then you have seen that book with that drawing, and not just with Donald Trump, but all these other lewd, disgusting drawings. Then we saw Donald Trump threaten Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie, mock them, ridicule them, right? He did a...
All right, well, let us know who controls those who control us. Who controls them? Let us know.
Trump threatened Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie, mock them, ridicule them, right? He did a post saying Republicans hold the line. It's an Epstein hoax. Once he saw that the votes were cracking, then he said, okay, I'll release it. So to me, this is the biggest political cover-up I've seen. And I'll say it again. If there's nothing to hide, he has nothing to lose. He can, just right now, Piers, as we're talking, Donald Trump can ask the Department of Justice to release the Epstein files. Thomas Massie said it yesterday. He was absolutely on point. You don't need any votes. He's negative 35 on the Epstein files. So you alluded to this.
And where does that line up with us? Negative 27. Not good. Not good. Well, not negative 27, but 27%.
Best way for him to help his presidency, the best way for him to win over 80% of Americans. This is the only thing that Americans agree on, Piers. Release the Epstein files. That's
a great point. That's a great point. This is one of the only things that the American people agree on by, both sides of the aisle. And so Tim Pool was just on Fox News the other night, and I was listening to Timcast, and he just, the rest of them started it, and he did his thing, and then Brad Palumbo did a video on that and was talking about, the numbers, and Tim was talking about how when it comes to the midterms, people aren't going to care about Epstein. They care about their grocery prices. And I don't necessarily disagree, but I don't like how he was going in with the intention of downplaying it. I don't know why. Why are we doing that? Yeah, I can make a poll. What poll would you like? Do you want the same poll that we have on the landscape stream? What poll would you like, Hector? Whatever you would like. Well, TOS.
To win over 80% of Americans. This is the only thing that Americans agree on, Pierce.
Yeah.
Release the Epstein files. Democrats, progressives, independents, MAGA all say release the Epstein files. He's sinking on this issue. MAGA's cracking over this issue. And I can only think that not only are other powerful men involved, but Donald Trump, his name is there, folks. Now, what does that mean? I don't know. But the best way to clear his name is I got nothing to hide. Here it is, unredacted. Look, I didn't do anything wrong. And then I also hope this entire panel agrees with me. I don't care if there's Democrats, philanthropists, celebrities, progressives, conservatives. If it is shown that these powerful men, regardless of their nationality, Ehud Barak, God forbid, rape girls, were complicit in the cover-up of raping of girls, I want all of these men to burn in hell. And I'm so happy that Larry Summers is being dragged. I don't care. I hope the whole panel agrees with me. If it is shown that men, regardless of their political affiliation, were raping girls or covering up the rape of girls, you burn in hell. And I hope the panel agrees with me.
Yeah, listen, I mean, ironically, we will probably have to redact one of those two names you just said because of how you linked it. Because actually, fair justice does require that, right? You know, that there are people being accused of extremely serious things here, and they are entitled to a fair trial. So it's an interesting thing where you can't, even in our free democratic society, whether here in London or you guys are in the United States, you can't just blurt out stuff about people like that.
Well, no, because the implication of the list being revealed is that we would get the information that's in the files. Just giving me a piece of paper with everything important redacted is not what we were talking about.
And not give them a chance to defend themselves. I agree with that principle.
But Pierce, may I jump in?
Yeah.
May I jump in? Which name are you referring to, if you don't mind? Are you talking about,
I'm talking about
how
the first one of the two.
And what's
The first one.
Oh, Ehud Barak? You mean the former prime minister of Israel,
Yeah.
who it's confirmed had a very close relationship with Epstein?
Yeah, I'm saying the
Stayed at
juxtaposition.
Epstein's
Let me be
Manhattan
clear.
apartment?
I'm saying the juxtaposition of his name with what Wajahat said next. God forbid he did blah blah blah.
Allegedly.
Okay, but then if I said that about you, allegedly, you wouldn't want your name just floated out there. So,
And again, I think that is fair, that people who are going to be tangentially connected who did nothing wrong, it's fair for that to be a worry. I just don't think it's a big enough worry that we can be like, well, since some people maybe might somewhere be affected, then we're not going to do it. That doesn't work for me. I'm sorry.
okay, but then if I said that about you, allegedly, you wouldn't want your name just floated out there. So, in other words,
But wait, Pierce, real quick about Ehud Barak. The reason why I mentioned Ehud Barak, and this is all alleged, folks, is because Ehud Barak was photographed multiple times at Jeffrey Epstein's apartment.
Yeah, I agree.
Furthermore, Drop site released emails of Ehud Barak's aide staying at Epstein's
I agree.
apartment.
I'm not.
answer the question. That's all
Let
I'm
me be
saying.
clear. I'm not disputing for a moment. He clearly was a good friend of Jeffrey Epstein and clearly spent a lot of time with him. I'm just saying the juxtaposition of putting a name like that out there next to what you then said, you can see. We can all see, right? That's where
It's a
this
list.
gets-
You need evidence, and certainly it
But
should be.
Pierce, you're right. You are correct.
Adam said, Tim Pool is a fool. We have given Trump all the tools he needs. Hey, rhyming all. Pool, fool, tools. We've given Trump all the tools he needs, and he's let Epstein derail his successes. And now the GOP and independents will not vote or will vote to send a message. I agree. I think this was bungled. You bungled it. And again, I'm going to keep coming back to this. There potentially, theoretically, hypothetically exists a reason, a legitimate reason why he was in the position of, we need to release the files, we need to prosecute these people, so on and so forth. And now he's not. Now he's saying, oh, this is just distraction. Who cares about that guy? Yada, 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 all that stuff. Why? Why? Just tell me why. If you have a good reason, then I'll support it. It's that simple.
That's where
It's a
this
list.
gets-
You need evidence, and
But
certainly it should be.
you're right.
question,
You are
but you need
correct that there's
evidence.
no evidence yet or anything tying Ehud Barak to any type of sexual impropriety. I agree with you on that.
Right.
However, there is
This
some
is
reporting
really
from Drop Site News as a result of those, releases from the House Oversight Committee, that seems to be completely ignored by the corporate media and legacy media. And those emails and those correspondences indicate that Ehud Barak was working with Epstein to make all sorts of deals on behalf of the government of Israel. For instance, he helped to facilitate the sale of Israeli cyber weapons. And so he found financing for that effort, through a particular bank, I believe in Sweden, if I'm not mistaken. Please check out Dropsite News for their incredible reporting on
I think you need a timeout.
this. They show the receipts and they base it on what has been released both through Ehud Barak's emails and also through the documents
here's
that
what
were
I
released
think.
by the House.
I actually think that I mean, I'll come to you, Buck, on this, but it seems to me the smart thing is just to let all this come out, right? For the reason we're saying. But it's going to be interesting if there is a direct allegation, for example, of a very high profile former prime minister committing an act of rape, for example. That's an interesting case about whether that should be redacted pending a criminal.
Are we that close, guys? 70 more subs. My birthday is later this month, and the most amazing gift that you could give me is subscribing to the channel. Let me hit that 5K. I've been at this for years. And I tried some other shit before that did not work. And now we are cooking. So if you are new here, please do hit that subscribe. Again, I'm live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, and sometimes whenever I feel like it. So come on through and don't just hit the subscribe. You know YouTube sucks with those notifications. Ring that bell so you never miss an Indian Jesus live party ever again.
Example. That's an interesting case about whether that should be redacted pending a criminal investigation. So I don't pretend this is just as easy as going blur, right? But I do know if you do too much redacting, then the conspiracies rage. So there's a conundrum there.
And here we are.
So just to what Wajad said a moment ago, yeah, of course. And that's actually why in the U.S. code, for some of the crimes that could be contained in this theoretically, or some of the things we're talking about, trafficking of minors, there's no statute of limitations, and 25 to life is very standard. And of course, anybody involved in that should pay that federal penalty, regardless of political party. I'm sure the panel all agrees with that. But there's this other component of this as well, which we're also getting to now, which is Epstein had contact with a lot of people. Epstein somehow, and this is where I think the money thing is fascinating, was able to impress and ingratiate himself to some of the most powerful and connected people in the world, which is a pretty remarkable feat when you think about it.
Mm-hmm. Janet says, Indian Jesus is on the Epstein list. Luckily, I am the Indian Jesus. There's another channel that's Indian Jesus, and that ain't me. Got him.
And was able to stay in their orbit even after he was a convicted sex offender.
Well, that's the bit. That's the bit. I mean, there's one really interesting thing that's been put in these files that's come out, which Semaphore, actually, Ben Smith's put out there as a link to read, is a 4,000-word profile that Michael Wolff was planning on Jeffrey Epstein a number of years ago. And it never appeared. But in it, Wolff details all these rich, famous, powerful people coming and going all the time after the conviction. So they're going to a convicted pedophile's home to either ingratiate themselves, to socialize with him, to do business. And I always took a view, for example, with the former Prince Andrew, now just common old Andrew.
I don't even believe that Epstein's dead. I don't even believe that he's dead. I know it's conspiratorial. I don't believe he's dead. And as Piers is talking about, the more that this gets kicked down the more they kick the can down the road, the more it seems like, well, these conspiracies kind of seem like they have legs. Whether they do or they don't, that's how it seems.
There was nothing which proved beyond any doubt.
I think we've given Israel quite enough money.
That he had carried on past what he'd said publicly was the cutoff point of them being seen in Central Park. I went to say goodbye because of the conviction. We had to end our thing. His ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, said the same thing, publicly disowned him because of the conviction and so on. And then what these emails have shown is that actually both of them continued to have contact with him way past their supposed public cutoff point.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is pretty straightforward. If you sit down with somebody, if you've got a friend and, it comes out that he cheated on his taxes a little bit, maybe did a little time, okay, he paid his debt to society. We're talking about trafficking of underage girls here. We're talking about being a sex criminal. You would think that any person would want to have the common ethics, decency, and good sense to be like, I'm not going to be flying on this guy's jet, going to his island, or spending a lot of time with him. So that's a big part of it. But now we also get to, there may be, can I just make a
I'm going to assume you're joking.
prediction about this? I don't think there'll be the smoking gun, which would mean someone can actually get prosecuted. If they can,
I
they
think
should.
they will.
Meaning if it's there,
I think they're absolutely. I think a number.
Janet says, Israel has the best interests of America in mind. And to that, I say, do they know? It seems like Israel has the best interests of Israel in mind, knowing that America will do whatever it is that they want us to do. I hope so. I hope so. There's a lot of people that are like that. Is that we got more money to Israel, and Israel has maybe, I don't know, but just put it out there. It has nothing to do with sanctions. I'm talking about the country of Israel. Wow, our vertical poll just went 50-50. Do you support Trump's attitude on Epstein? Get your votes in. It is 50-50 right now.
They get prosecuted if they can.
I think they will.
Meaning if it's there,
I think they're absolutely. I think a number of high-profile men are going to be criminally prosecuted. I really do. I think you're going to see, as David Boyd said, I think you're going to see between 6 and 12 at least actually face potential prosecution.
I would be surprised, Piers, but if it's there, they absolutely should be prosecuted. So we're just, we're surmising what's going to be in the files. But beyond that, there's going to be a lot of, not all the answers are there, and now I'm going to attack whomever I want to attack politically with this, and it's specifically Donald Trump. It's not like after the files come out, people are going to stop talking about this.
No, but it is. So, it's interesting what Vijay has said about the cover-up, right? So I was literally last week.
Wait, hold on. Let's see. What is Bach saying here? I saw something about that. Hold on. Bach said, my friend had her kid when she was 13, got pregnant at 12. Her parents were religious. Now her daughter is older than the last girl I dated. Well, dilly to those parents. Because that could have been a dead baby. But let's continue. So Box then says, getting it pregnant was a thing we just saw when we were growing up. I was 16 at the time. That made me more pro-life. Makes sense. It's not just an abstract thing. It's not just about my rights to do this, that, and whatever I want. It's about a real human being. So, guys, we did just pass the 2-hour mark. If you would like to keep the party raging, you know how to do it. 99 cents will keep us going, guys. And gets Morty a treat. And we're close to that goal. You're going to give me all this money and not make me do any push-ups? All right.
But, it's interesting what Vijay has said about the cover-up, right? So I was literally last week at the Richard Nixon Presidential Library and Museum in California, in Orange County. And really interesting just going around it, as his old home, the old helicopter where he did the famous jubilant wave goodbye to the American people and so on. But, if you remember Watergate was widely ignored for, well over a year as Woodward and Bernstein were unraveling this stuff in the Washington Post.
I'll be honest, I don't know the ins and outs of Watergate that well at all.
And then the drip finally erupted into an inferno. And it was the inferno of the cover-up rather than the initial incident.
You can give it a try.
And that was what did for Nixon. And if I was advising Donald Trump, I'd be like, if you look at the number of people, MAGA supporters, like real diehard Trumpers, who are really genuinely angry about this, it will, in the end, for Donald Trump, he's got to be careful that the drip doesn't become the unstoppable, inferno is the wrong analogy, I would say like a tidal wave, right, which sinks you because of the cover-up.
Agreed. That we are at an inflection point where if he doesn't handle this properly, then it's only gonna get worse.
Perceived cover-up. And I think Watergate is a good example. If you just had the initial incident, then Nixon could have survived that if he'd been completely upfront at the time. It was the line that went on about the incident that did for him.
The cover-up is worse than the crime.
Leaks, if you will, when it comes to this drip, that I don't think the Trump administration, Kash Patel, and Pam Bondi can truly plug. These are the 4 leaks that they have to be worried about. First and foremost, the Epstein estate. We know that the Epstein estate has actually given Democrats a tranche of documents. They haven't released all of it, and we still don't know what the Epstein estate has, number one. Number two, the FBI agents tasked by the DOJ to look at these files and scrub Donald Trump's name. Some of the whistleblowers are alarmed and horrified by the evidence, the photos that they've seen.
Damn, we got more votes on the vertical stream poll, and it is still 50-50. You guys, that's crazy to me.
And they all, in a very reckless, foolish, and stupid manner, were sharing an open Excel sheet. So we don't know what these FBI agents, if there are any whistleblowers there, what information they have, number two. Number three, Ghislaine Maxwell. Again, who is in a minimum security camp being pampered right now, we know, folks, we can trust our brain here, our logic, our intelligence, that birthday book, that 50th birthday book of Jeffrey Epstein that contains the names of all these powerful people who send him some lewd messages, including Donald Trump, she's probably sitting on some more information. And Pierce, if she's seeing George Santos and CZ get pardoned, you better believe she ain't spending 20 years of her life in prison. And then the fourth leak is the most powerful. The thousands of survivors, the girls who were raped, the women now who are emboldened, that powerful ad, I'm sure we all saw it over the weekend, where they're
Yep, and Janet, don't forget about the woke right now. That's coming on up. Not good, not good. I just saw someone in the chat. Where's the chat? Where's the thing? Where is it? Shout out to Dominique. I don't know why your chat's not showing up, but I see it in the YouTube thing. It's not coming up here, but welcome to the party.
The women now who are emboldened, that powerful ad, I'm sure we all saw it over the weekend, where they're holding photos of themselves. You know, I thought it was extremely powerful and sobering. I was 16, I was 15. These girls who are now women finally realize, oh, people are listening to us and our story. Virginia Giuffre.
That's the second one. I don't know what happened to the first one. It just didn't show up, but welcome to the party.
From the dead, her story. If there was no there, Pierce, Andrew would be Prince Andrew.
I agree.
A week before Virginia Giuffre's memoir came out.
And also,
Wajahat,
on that, once you know that Andrew is lying about the timeline of how long he stayed in contact with Epstein, which we now do, then you look at all the other things he's denied with a new, very skeptical eye. Not least, for example, the picture of him with his arm around Virginia Giuffre that he's tried to muddy the waters about. Is
pretty damning. And then whenever we think about that Prince Andrew interview on 60 Minutes, like let me find a little clip of it, because what we have to understand with that interview is that Prince Andrew decided to do that because he understood that whatever would come from that is better than the alternative, which raises the question, what is the alternative? Getting exposed for whatever else. And I mean, you know, the best that he's got. Let's take a little side quest. And you said there was the echo, right? Oh wait, this is not what I'm looking for, is it? No, this isn't what I'm looking for. I don't want the whole thing. Just all right, we'll skip around.
We've come to
hopefully there's a all right.
But that's
back to the question. Come on, baby.
Choosing to.
All right.
We're running out of time.
Let's see what they're saying. So remember that he chose to do this knowing, or at least thinking, that this was better than the alternative. Let's see, anybody else we missed? Shout out to Big Veezy, said, boo-hoo, y'all libtards ain't got shit on your president. There we go. Prince Andrew lost all his titles. He's no longer a royal. I mean, does that even really mean anything? I mean, it means he fucked up. But other than that...
Face questions today on a very, very raw subject. There has never been an interview like this before. I wonder what that tells us about the way the royal family now confronts these
easier said than done
difficult situations. Has there been a sea change?
I think that the problem that we face in the 21st century is social media. There is a whole range of things that you face now that you didn't face 25 years ago because it was just the print media. And I think that to some extent there is a thick skin that you have to have. And again, I'm not a confrontationalist myself.
Well, unless it comes to ARPing little girls. Mary said, Prince Andrew is fine. He's older and probably could care less. He has personal money, huge houses, and his family's money. That is why he decided that doing this interview was better for him than the alternative.
I would prefer to be able to, as it were, resolve things in a way that is sensible. And so choosing to, as it were, get out there and talk about these things.
Where my mind's at.
It's almost a mental health issue to some extent for me, in the sense that it's been nagging at my mind for a great many years. I know that I made the wrong judgment and I made the wrong decision.
Say that again.
But I made the wrong decision and the wrong judgment, I believe, fundamentally for the right reasons, which is to say to somebody, I'm not going to see you again. And in fact, from that day forth, I was never in contact with him. The subsequent allegations are what I would describe as surprising, shocking, and a distraction. But that's, I mean, there are all sorts of things that are on the internet and out there in the public domain that we just sort of go, well, yeah, but I'm afraid this is, it just never happened.
You've talked about a thick skin. I wonder if you have any sense now of guilt, regret, or shame about any of your behavior in your friendship with Epstein.
Like, nah, I just, I did some stuff and that's it.
As far as Mr. Epstein is concerned, it was the wrong decision to go and see him in 2010. As far as my association with him was concerned, it had...
Apparently not. Apparently not. I haven't seen anybody asking for likes. I haven't seen anybody asking for fucking donations. I haven't seen anybody dropping the link. I haven't to the Discord, the membership link. I mean, what did you think the wrench was for, guys?
Some seriously beneficial outcomes in areas that have nothing to do with what I would describe as what we're talking about today.
So yeah, again, point being, this was extremely embarrassing. Yet, like, was it Mary was saying, yeah, he's fine. So as embarrassing as that is, he's good. Still, begs the question: what is the alternative? And again, guys, if you would like to be if you'd like to get a wrench, just, well, I used to be able to say, look at the people with wrenches and see what they do. But all the things I listed, asking for likes, asking people to subscribe, reminding people we're live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, dropping the Discord link, dropping the join link, dropping the link to merch, all that kind of stuff. That is what the wrench is for. So when we hit 5K, I'm readdressing who's got a wrench. So if you have a wrench and you want to keep it, do that stuff. If you would like a wrench, do that stuff.
Or the picture of him with his arm around Virginia Giuffre, that he's tried to muddy the waters about his veracity, said he doesn't remember it happening, trying to get some advisors to come on, friends of his, to say it's a fake and so on. It's now pretty well agreed that was a genuine picture. Epstein admits it in one of the emails that have been leaked. So that sort of series of denials that Andrew made is unraveling. And that is what's done for him. And
you absolutely can get a wrench. So continue to be welcoming. That's the other one. When people come in, hey, welcome to the party. Thanks for being here. Something like that. No, but if people want that power, and they're asking me for it, and then they don't use it. And on days like today, where there's 300 people here, I need that. I can't pay attention to the video and two different chats and this chat, and then we have Rumble. If you're going to be a mod, you got to moderate.
Series of denials that Andrew made is unraveling, and that is what's done for him. And it'd be interesting how this plays out. The only way Andrew makes any comeback whatsoever in the rest of his life into public life is if he goes and does a full interview under oath with the FBI. He's ever going to do it, but that's the only way. So he's gone. Lord Mandelson, who was our ambassador to the US, gone, because again the timeline revealed from that he had put forward revealed he was very cozy with Epstein going forward. I just want to pivot. It's fascinating. I can talk about this for days. It's really interesting. But I want to...
All right, 10 minutes, guys. 99 cents will keep the party raging. 10 minutes, and we shut down the stream.
I'll start with you, Buck, on this. What we saw at the White House yesterday with the Crown Prince of Saudi...
And of course, guys, when we shut down the stream, of course, we go to the after party. If you are not a member of the channel, then unfortunately, you are not welcome. Unless you click that link and join the Discord before the stream is over, then you get a day pass to come and hang out in the after party where we don't have to worry about any kind of YouTube censorship or anything like that. And it's a good time. So come on through. Come on through.
And I'll start with you, Buck, on this. What we saw at the White House yesterday with the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia,
Thank
really
you,
quite
Adam.
an extraordinary, historic moment, really, of somebody who'd been treated as a bit of a pariah by Joe Biden, albeit he eventually gave him a fist bump and so on. Donald Trump really welcoming the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, making it very clear that Saudi Arabia is now a very important strategic ally for the United States. Let's take a listen to what he said.
And this is the same thing we saw before, but in case you hadn't seen it, here you go.
Your Royal Highness, the U.S. intelligence concluded that you orchestrated the brutal murder of a journalist. 9/11 families are furious that you are here in the Oval Office. Why should Americans trust you? And the same to you, Mr. President.
Now, who are you with?
I'm with ABC News, sir.
You with who?
ABC News, sir.
Fake news. ABC fake news. One of the.
I would have been like, I'm with Fox News. Which the people really care about this.
Who are you with?
I'm with
Are you allowed to lie in that situation? Like, what's the rules there? Maybe you lose your press pass, but you get an answer.
ABC News, sir.
You with who?
ABC News, sir.
Fake news. ABC fake news. One of the worst. One of the worst in the business. But I'll answer your
Again, true, but it was a good question.
question. As far as this gentleman is concerned, he's done a phenomenal job. You're mentioning somebody that was extremely controversial. A lot of people didn't like that gentleman that you're talking about, whether you
Yeah, which is why we want you to prosecute.
like him or didn't like him. Things happen, but he knew nothing about it. And we can leave it at that. You don't have to embarrass our guest by asking a question like that.
But what was interesting was the Crown Prince then did answer the question himself, which I don't think was expected.
Did he? In that last clip? In that last beat?
To embarrass our guest by asking a question like that.
Okay. All right. If we had time, I would go on the side quest and see what he actually said. But you brokies in the fucking chat
About it. And we can leave it at that. You don't have to embarrass our guest by asking a question
Well, if you don't mind, I'm going to answer.
like that.
But what was interesting was the Crown Prince then did answer the question himself, which I don't think was expected. We all know that it made Saudi Arabia pretty well a pariah country for a long time. But we also know that now Saudi Arabia is a very important strategic player in the region. When you take it in totality, are you supportive of what you saw at the White House yesterday?
Well, there's no way to ignore Saudi Arabia. That would be foolish for this administration, and honestly, I think for any administration. And there are certainly rumors from within the administration itself that I think there's a hope of further normalization between Israel and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in terms of diplomatic relations, things like that in the future. So if you're talking about this from a realpolitik or just a strategic point of view, of course he's going to have the Crown Prince there, and they're going to be discussing a whole range of issues. You know, Trump is out there negotiating these deals. He's trying to get things done for American workers and putting American interests first, as he constantly says. So this is a bit of a reminder, I think, to people of
We only got 7 minutes, guys. I'm not asking for much. 99 cents. So I'll use the time. Well, let's do the side quest. We'll do the side quest and see what the actual answer was. But that is probably where we're gonna have to leave it. So we'll go over here. We'll say Saudi Prince Trump. Let's see. Let's get the full thing. And then okay, so we got the full thing. Then we'll look through the transcript and find fake news. No, we'll do news. All right, where are we? All right, and look at that! Look at that! Oh my! Oh, sorry. Oh my goodness! Another rainbow sticker. You know how we feel about them rainbows. A treat for Morty. Thank you so very, very much. And Guam Tech with another $1. That's all I'm asking for, guys. Teamwork makes the dream work. Don't fucking lie to me and say that you don't have 99 cents to throw away. But thank you so very, very much. So let's see what the Saudi prince actually said to this question.
Appropriate, Mr. President, for your family to be doing business
yeah, okay.
in Saudi Arabia while you're president. Is that a conflict of interest? And Your Royal Highness, the U.S. intelligence concluded that you orchestrated the brutal murder of a journalist. 9/11 families are furious that you are here in the Oval Office. Why should Americans trust you? And the same to you, Mr. President.
Now, who are you with?
I'm with ABC News, sir.
You with who?
ABC News, sir.
Fake news. ABC fake news. One of the worst in the business. But I'll answer your question. I have nothing to do with the family business. I have left, and when I've devoted 100% of my energy. What my family does is fine. They do business all over. They've done very little with Saudi Arabia, actually. I'm sure they could do a lot. And anything they've done has been very good. That's what we've done. We've built a tremendous business for a long time. I've been very successful. I decided to leave that success behind and make America very successful. And I've made America more successful by far than it ever was, and that it ever could have been, no matter who was president. There would be nobody bringing in $21 trillion, that I can tell you right now. As far as this gentleman is concerned, he's done a phenomenal job. You're mentioning somebody that was extremely controversial. A lot of people didn't like that gentleman that you're talking about. Whether you like him or didn't like him, things happen. But he knew nothing about it, and we can leave it at that. You don't have to embarrass our guest by asking a question like that.
It's just you ask Mr. President, allow me to answer.
All right, here we go. The answer from the Saudi prince on Epstein. What do you think it's going to be? Give me your guess. Give me your guess as to what he's going to say. Unless you already saw it. Don't spoil it.
To embarrass our guest by asking a question like that.
It's just you ask Mr. President, allow me to answer. I feel painful about families of.
Slow that down. We'll go to this at the accents.
Answer. I feel painful about the families of 9/11 in America, but we have to focus on reality based on CIA documents and based on a lot of documents that Osama bin Laden used Saudi people in that event for one main purpose, is to destroy this relation, to destroy the American-Saudi relation. That's the purpose of 9/11. So whoever buying that means they are helping Osama bin Laden's purpose of destroying this relation. He knows that strong relation between America and Saudi Arabia, it's bad for extremism, it's bad for terrorism. And we have to approve him wrong and to build our relation, continue developing our relation. It's critical in the safety of the world. It's critical against extremism and terrorism.
Why, Trump, why are you making me agree with the turban man? Why are you making me agree with the Saudi prince?
Developing our relation, it's critical in the safety of the world. It's critical against extremism and terrorism. About the journalists, it's really painful to hear, anyone that been losing his life for, no real purpose or not in a legal way. And it's been painful for us in Saudi Arabia. We've did all the right steps of investigation, etc. in Saudi Arabia, and we've improved our system to be sure that nothing happened like that. And it's painful and it's a huge mistake, and we are doing our best that this doesn't happen again.
Mr. President, thank you, Mr. President.
There you go. There you go. So no rambling, just answering the question and like, hey, this is a relevant question. This is a relevant question because this isn't just American leaders that are implicated. It is a worldwide conspiracy. So fuck out of here with, oh, how dare you ask that question? Yeah, if we're going to come back to, how come the KKK likes you? If we're going to come back to, fucking, why do you, David Duke, blah, blah, blah. Okay, sure. Fuck you. Stupid question. Get the fuck out. But a legitimate question is a legitimate question.
He says, so this is a bit of a reminder, I think, to people of what the truth is of our, first of all, our energy needs and the global energy markets, and the reality that we're going to be dealing sometimes with less than perfect regimes and less than savory characters on the world stage. But there's been a lot that's been done by the Saudis that is moving in the right direction in recent years. And I think that Trump wants to try to be as constructive as he can. Now, there's a lot that could be said about this and a lot of criticism that I'm sure people can and will throw at the regime as we're discussing this. But I think that obviously Trump has to have.
Well, let me come. All right, Anna, I can see you raising your eyes. I mean, I would preface.
So before we go there, let's grab some of these chats. DJ said he is the jackass that dreamt up the giant glass wall. Is that him? Is that him? Oh my goodness. Liberty said, yeah, Saudis love flying in white women. Nothing better for Muslims than degrading Christian girls. Kind of baller. Kind of baller. Money laundering construction job at its finest. Oh, is that I'm not familiar with that specific thing, but yeah, they just be building shit. They just be building shit. Come on. Hey, shout out to the captain of the Moral Felon crew with the $5. Thank you. so very, very much, sir. Yummy, 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 yummy. Thank you so much that I feel the hand of God on you. I pray for your salvation and that you will not be eternally damned, so you may spend eternity with our Lord and Morty. Well, if it works, it works. If not, I'll take the money. Thank you so very, very much, sir. The party rages on.
I think that obviously Trump has to have.
Well, let me come. All right, Anna, I can see you raising your eyes. I mean, I would preface it by saying this. I was editor of the Daily Mirror in the UK when I opposed vociferously what I viewed as the illegal war on Iraq in 2003. To me, Tony Blair has a lot of blood on his hands from that decision to take us into war alongside George Bush, obviously. It was an illegal war. 1 million people died. I mean, on the scale of outrages, the Khashoggi thing was awful, and it's terrible that a journalist was murdered, obviously. But so is an illegal war that killed 1 million people. I didn't see any call for Tony Blair, for example, to be either brought to a criminal court over it or turned into a kind of global pariah. So is there a double standard here being applied or not?
Well,
yep.
Double standard or not, I mean, at the end of the day, our relationship with Saudi Arabia, I agree with Buck, it does have a lot to do with normalizing a genocidal, disgusting state run by a group of terrorists in the Middle East, and that's the nation state of Israel. I don't care about what's good for them and how to normalize them and what kind of business deals our president of the United States can negotiate on behalf of Israel. Got no interest in that. The other thing I have absolutely no interest in is what Trump was advertising to the American people yesterday in regard to our relationship with Saudi Arabia, which is that Saudi Arabia is allegedly going to invest $1 trillion in businesses here in the U.S. I would like foreigners in foreign countries to stop buying up land, including farmland, buying up residential real estate.
I'm going to be honest. It tickles me to hear Anna Kasparian say foreigners like that.
Stop buying up land. I would like foreigners in foreign countries to stop buying up land, including farmland, buying up residential real estate, buying up apartment buildings. I would like Americans to run American businesses and hire American workers.
I said shit. Me too. Dilly to the red pilling of Anna Kasparian. Let's go.
I see our relationship with Saudi Arabia as something that does need to be dealt with to some degree. Obviously, it's an oil.
How is it that 40% of you said that the sound is better and 40% of you said the sound is worse? Or it's the same? How can it be? What? I have to do everything myself.
Producing country, part of the OPEC plus cartel. And if you can remember, during the Biden administration, Saudi Arabia was intentionally withholding the production of oil in order to inflate the price that we all pay at the pump. And that also led to inflation, by the way. So Saudi Arabia is not some innocent country with an innocent angel running it.
No one's claiming that.
It's a dictatorship and it's disgusting.
Okay, but let me throw it back at you, your argument then. By your argument, would you not want America to be investing in any other countries around the world or having any of their own?
Does it sound worse? I didn't put that because nobody was like, what's wrong with the sound? Is it worse? I would have assumed that somebody was like, hey, you didn't put worse, but it sounds worse.
People being employed in foreign countries. Does it work both ways? Or do you simply want to put the shutters down on any investment and people working in the United States coming from other countries?
If there are mutually beneficial deals to be made, fine. But I don't see the way that we have worked with foreign countries as beneficial to American workers and the American people. We have had far too many foreign interests come in and buy up our assets, essentially pricing the American people out of things that used to be part of the American dream, being able to own a home, for instance. Just last week, there was an explosive report about how there is a corporation essentially based in Israel that's buying up apartment buildings in the United States, raising the rent as much as 24% in a single year. It's part of their business model.
And then you play that against the fact that Mamdani is doing just essentially live for free. We're fucked. We're fucked. We're fucked. Shout out to Anna. I mean, she's got a little bit to go, and I don't think she's ever gonna fully get there. But if what she's talking about now is the messaging that goes out to the left, I don't think so. Is that Box? Can we get a fact check on that? I know you're obviously not Anna, but you know Anna much better than everybody else. And you were talking about, didn't you just say how, yeah, her mom got cancer and rent control got rough for them. So I don't know. Or maybe she's just evil.
Raising the rent as much as 24% in a single year, it's part of their business model. The CEO literally admitted, yeah, this is our business model. We push people out.
Okay, but look, Apple's an amazing American company, fantastic company. I'm a big consumer myself. Would you simply say, right, Apple, you cannot now have any factories or any employees outside of the United States? Because the answer is you can't say that.
I mean, well, isn't that something that President Donald Trump pretended like he wanted to?
Well, he'd like to see them opening more factories in the US, but he hasn't said you've got to shut everything around the world. I mean, I just think that we live in a small, the globe is a small place now, right? Globalization at its best is a good thing. Globalization at its worst is a bad thing.
Well, brilliant take there. At the best, this thing is good. At worst, though, it's bad.
Happy medium
hasn't benefited the American worker, that's for sure.
But you look at China. And by the way, I agree that the American elites have sold us out to China in a whole range of ways, but you can't change that overnight. I mean, the same way that you can't offshore the semiconductor manufacturing, particularly the high end that Taiwan does to the US. They're trying to do some of it, but at the end of the day, it's going to take time for us to have some of these industries brought back.
That's the lefty in her. That's the lefty in her. I want it now. I want it now. Takes time, baby girl.
I mean, what Anna's saying, I think in principle, that more of it should be done in America, absolutely. And I think Trump is trying to do that, but you actually cannot do some of these things tomorrow, even if you wanted to. It is going to take time. And China has 1 million Uyghurs in concentration camps. And yet we're...
Hey, we don't talk like that on this channel. Jokes. Box and Mom Donnie will flub all of this, and we can point and laugh. And it's not my city, not my problem. New York City mayor is not king of the world as much as they may make it seem like that. I wanted him to win so he can inevitably fail, and then I can point it out to my lib friends. Bingo. I said, shit, me too. I don't have many lib friends, but you know, those of you like Box, I'm happy that you are on the same page, that it is good, that we took a little hit so that we can show how bad it can get.
Time. And China has 1 million Uyghurs in concentration camps, and yet we're still doing business with them. Doesn't mean it's okay. Doesn't mean we shouldn't call out the human rights abuses. But again, this is where the world is what it is. I wish that there were a whole lot of.
And by the way, Buck, you know, if you take the UK,
the point that I'm trying to make. Hold on, real quick. Let me just respond to that. No. The reason why, look, I agree with you, Buck. Okay, but rather than wean this country off the teat of foreign corporations and foreign, oligarchs, Trump is doubling down with more foreign investment in the United States. And then this is on the heels of him saying, oh, we don't have talent in the American workforce. We're going to have to bring in foreign workers with H-1B visas. How does this benefit the American worker? I don't understand.
Just to be clear, I actually disagree with some of the tone of this administration on the H-1B issues. I think that H-1B is 90% abuse and that those jobs should go to Americans and that this is...
Yup. Americans. Fuck yeah!
Something where I actually am a little bit of a see differently than the administration, and I'm very public about that. And on the investment, there is a line to be drawn. I mean, I think that the Chinese, for example, we're talking about Saudi Arabia, a lot of investment in America, but the Chinese have done a better job buying off the American elites and steering foreign policy. I'm talking about the CCP, not like the everyday Chinese people, but they've done a better job buying off our elites than any country in history. I mean, what they've been able to do is quite honestly astonishing, such that now we really can't decouple from China quickly. But in terms of foreign investment in the United States, I mean, you look at whether it's BMW having a huge plant in, I think it's one of the Carolinas. These are jobs that go to Americans and that create American prosperity. And there's an up.
Point out where I told you what to do. Go ahead. Point out where I told you what to do. Oh, you can't because I didn't?
Upside to it here as well.
Yeah, and by the way, the point I was going to make was, I want to bring Chris, because you've been waiting patiently. The point, Chris, I would say about this is that, the UK at the moment feels like it's really in the doldrums. And one of the reasons is there's been a real drain, actually, of foreign investment wanting to invest in the UK. And we see that as a big problem, right? It has a direct impact on our economy. And people who don't want to come and invest in this country, it's a lack of faith in the success of Britain PLC. So I don't intrinsically have any problem with other countries wanting to invest somewhere. It's a show of that country's strength where they want to invest. And as long as it's handled properly, as long as it's done hand in hand with encouraging Americans in this case to get proper employment at the same time, then it's fine. It's when the whole system gets abused that there are problems. What do you make? I mean, the whole kind of, I thought what was really striking to me was Donald Trump really rolled out the red carpet for Saudi Arabia. It wasn't
not viewers, views.
It wasn't an official
total
state
views.
visit. But Chris, are you happy about that? Do you think that? And I was struck by, I went to a fight in boxing match in LA last summer, part of the Riyadh season. And obviously they're getting very dominant now in sport boxing.
Oh, Riyadh. That Riyadh Comedy Festival fucked over some comedians hard, namely Bill Burr. I love Bill Burr. I just hate his politics. Well, I don't even call him his politics. I hate when he talks about politics because there's no shit about shit. And he's got ideas, but they're based in falsities. So that's about it. So we are currently at 28,981 views on the vertical stream. So I think we're gonna keep that shit rolling. I do think the thumbnail here was a big help. I do think this was a big help, but keep it rolling.
LA last summer, part of the Riyadh
season. We growing.
And obviously they're getting very dominant now in sport boxing.
You know what? Hold on. Let's give a special dilly to all the vertical viewers. Dilly to you. And shout out to all the new subscribers. Glad to have you.
In particular. And they played the Saudi national anthem along with the American national anthem. And there was no booing at all. It was really interesting. I just remember thinking the audience go, wow, okay, that's a sea change from post 9/11. There would have been mayhem if they.
Now, do I love that there's other national anthems being played? No, but am I going to cry about it? Definitely not. Can I see the difference in how some people definitely would, get up in arms about these Saudis, these fucking terrorists, blah, 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 blah. Absolutely. But the fact that it wasn't, I think, is worth pointing out.
Okay, that's a sea change from post 9/11. There would have been mayhem if they tried to play the Saudi national anthem. Things have changed dramatically. Geopolitics changes dramatically.
Why you got to put the black in there? Jesus Christ! I know his wife is black. Why you got to say what?
Dramatically, Saudi Arabia is a big player now on the global stage. Trump wants to do business with him.
Yeah, you are, and they are doing better than you are. We got 47 likes over there. And only 10 on the landscape stream. So I'm gonna start doing the show like this because it's better for the verticals.
What's the problem with that?
No, I think it's good. And there are two ways to look at this question. The first is political. The second is economic. On the political question, we've learned a lot since 9/11. We had a disastrous war in Iraq. We had a disastrous occupation of Afghanistan. We had a disastrous.
I promise. I am trying to get away where get a layout where it could be like this on the vertical stream and then normal on the landscape stream. But what do you mean? Everybody, like people use. Have you heard of this thing called TikTok or YouTube Shorts or Instagram Reels? Your boomer is showing.
Posture towards the Assad regime in Syria. We created chaos, death, destruction, and outflow of migrants, particularly into Europe. And we learned that even those unsavory regimes are often much preferable to what comes after them. And so we're looking at Saudi Arabia as a pillar of stability, people we can work with. And yes, of course, they're not perfect. It's a tough neighborhood. It's a tough culture. It's a tough part of the world. But they have shown to be at least someone we can do business with, someone we can do politics and geopolitics with. They need our help and stability. I think we need their stability for economic and geopolitical reasons. And so I think that is a good partnership. On the economic question, you have to balance your trade and investment between friends and adversaries. And
Homeboy's already shaking his head.
So certain investment opportunities, like, for example, buying our ports, should be denied to the Chinese. But if the Saudis want to invest in high-tech companies, if they want to invest in...
Based, Anna, to everyone! To everyone!
the Chinese. But if the Saudis want to invest in high-tech companies, if they want to invest in automobile manufacturing, that's a great way to balance our trade deficit. That's a great way to create jobs in the United States. And they're not going around.
Oh, honey, do you think that your information is safe? Oh, that's adorable. Yeah, you're a private person. Nobody knows who you are. There's no one in the government, of the U.S. government. There's no one in the Chinese government who has any idea who you are and what your information is and your social security number and all of that stuff.
Buying apartments and denying the American dream. That is such a small percentage of what's going on that I don't think we should be worried about that. If that's a particular concern, some policy remedies are available. But what the Saudis are really doing is investing in high growth, high technology companies in the United States that need capital. And in the AI boom, we need capital coming into the United States. That's smart politics, it's smart economics, and it's smart geostrategy.
Yeah, Wadal, you're shaking your head. Why?
Yeah, I've been waiting for a while. So I hope all of us can agree that Mohammed
bin Salman I've been waiting for a while. At all costs, avoid the meta conversation, especially if you're going to whine. If you're in a debate, if you're on a panel, if you're whatever. When someone if you decided to sit there quietly, you didn't have to say anything. You shook your head and the host gave you the floor. So just say the thing and stop bitching. Why are you bitching when you've just been given the floor? That'll make no sense. Hey, Adam again with the $5. I was about to make the announcement and I don't even have to. There it is. Oh my goodness. Thank you, guys. That is less than $10 away from the goal. And we are 8 out of 15 super chats. Either one will hit the goal. Adam says, the angel of the Lord is around you. No, I'm going to do this in my full pastor voice. The angel of the Lord is around you. May the tongues be tied that rise against you and try to bind your soul to hell. Isaiah 54:17 is written on your heart. How was that? Thank you very, very much, sir.
Yeah, I've been waiting for a while. So I hope all of us...
Yeah, I've been waiting for a while. I already forgot that he said that, and it pissed me off again. All right.
Can agree that Mohammed bin Salman is a brutal dictator who engaged in a red wedding takeover of Saudi Arabia a week after Jared Kushner and Donald Trump's first administration left. A report showed that Jared Kushner gave it a green light. The first country that Donald Trump visited was Saudi Arabia, where he did a curtsy and Steve Bannon danced with swords, and it was great for business. He turned on Saudi Arabia even though he said there were terrorists. Fine. Then you have Mohammed bin Salman, who also has engineered this crisis in Yemen, this famine of children, the death of so many Yemenis. You also have him cracking down on women, specifically women activists. So we say, you know what? We've supported dictators in the past. It's fine. But you know what we don't do is literally, like you said, Pierce, lay out the red carpet. They laid out the red carpet. They had people on horses. They had a flyover of jets.
Boxy boy, I owe you an apology. I was about to update the banner and call Adam the co-sponsor with Dr. Evil Genius. But Boxy Boy, you, sir, are the sponsor. Thank you so very, very much. All of you guys are amazing. Thank you so very, very much.
They laid out the red carpet. They had people on horses. They had a flyover of jets. I mean, it was pomp for like a king. And then what's even worse, with the clip that you played, Donald Trump served as his personal, if you will, like consigliere and his advisor and his PR rehab man. And he mocked and ridiculed yet another female journalist who asked a very legitimate question about Jamal Khashoggi. If you listen to that quote, he kind of said, Khashoggi, a U.S. journalist who was killed and dismembered at the behest of MBS, according to the CIA. That was the assessment of law enforcement during Trump's first administration.
Shout out to all of the donations, but a big special thank you to our current sponsor of the stream, Box, our resident liberal. Thank you so very, very much. Let me grab some of these other chats here. Is Adam subverting the Indian Jesus? Maybe not. Kushner or Kushner. The Southern Baptist style is easy. Try doing a Coptic style. I don't know what that means. Never apologize to a man who uses the word icky. I gotta agree with that. All right, thank you so very, very much, guys. The party rages on.
To the CIA, that was the assessment of law enforcement during Trump's first administration. He kind of said, well, he had it coming. So it seems to me that Donald Trump is willing to sell out freedoms, sell out human rights, sell out journalists. And I think for all of us here on this panel, we should take a moment about Jamal Khashoggi. For the right deal, are you comfortable with your president saying, he had it coming? Sure, Anna went missing in Saudi Arabia. Buck went missing in Turkey. Chris went missing in Qatar. But guess what? I got an investment in my company, right? And finally, when it comes to Saudi Arabia...
I don't really understand what he's putting forth.
...be investing, who has benefited? Not the average American. I'm here in Virginia. There are literally people at food banks. You know who has benefited? The Broligarchy, billionaires.
The Broligarchy!
Kushner got $2 billion from Saudi Arabia. The Witkoffs got $1.5 billion. And guess who David Ellison is teaming up with to buy Warner Brothers Discovery? Saudi Arabia. David Ellison was there with them last night. So do you want Americans, Saudi Arabia, to gobble up Warner Brothers, DC Movies, HBO, Discovery? They already have golf.
But do you want?
No, but and maybe I'm missing something. But what is how did that come up? What did I miss?
I haven't made money. Okay, Anna hasn't made money. Buck hasn't made money. But a lot of billionaires.
Let me throw back a question at you. Given what we heard just a little earlier,
guys, don't forget that if we do hit that super chat goal, which we are $9 away from, not only does my puny ass have to get on the ground and do push-ups for you. It's pathetic. Look at this. Those are the arms of a... I was going to say a word you're not supposed to say. But I need your help. And then, of course, Morty needs his con. Let's get it to him. Teamwork makes the dream work. We are at 8 out of 15. So 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, $7. $7 hits the goal. Either way, let's make it happen.
Let me throw back a question at you. Given what we heard just a little earlier about America's disastrous interventions in Iraq, in Afghanistan in the last 25 years, if you're in the Middle East, and I've traveled there a lot in the last few years, it's been fascinating watching the evolution of a lot of these countries. Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Dubai, obviously well ahead of everyone.
Qatar or Qatar?
But you look at it, and I look at what America and the UK did together in Iraq and Afghanistan. You will hear a lot of people in the Middle East say, well, why should we do business with those people? They came and bombed the hell out of us and killed a lot of people on spurious claims like weapons of mass destruction that never turned up, and so on. In other words, the morality argument can work both ways. Yes, the murder of Khashoggi was despicable, of course, but so was the illegal invasion of Iraq, which killed 1 million people. And yet I don't see the argument being put forward by you that because of that, because of Iraq and Afghanistan, America and the UK, my country, should be prohibited from doing any business or getting any red carpet treatment when they go to the Middle East. But they do, and they don't get treated with the same treatment that you're dishing out now the other way. Why?
So I'll say two things. Number one, billionaires are helping billionaires, just like the Epstein files. This is not helping
So, but on the morality point.
On the morality point, you know what? I'm going to take it a step further. I agree with you, and you and me were right. I was marching as a UC Berkeley college student against the war on terror. I believe there are individuals still alive who should be tried for war crimes. One of them just died.
One of them is Obama.
Dick Cheney. I'm perfectly fine with Tony Blair being shunned forever. I'm perfectly fine with some trials to actually investigate why the UK and the people who were in charge.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what exactly is his point here. Should we just skip to the next chapter? I mean, this is still the same chapter as disrespecting the female journalists. And then it moves on to Cristiano Ronaldo. Well,
the neocons went to war, killed, like you said, 1 million people, dragged us for decades into war. U.S. soldiers were killed without any evidence, and the evidence that...
Hey, we got HR Death Poet Larkin. I said next, your wish is my command. Cristiano Ronaldo's meeting with Donald Trump.
24 years. Thank you all.
You may indeed see the irony of that. I do want to end on a happy note. We started on a happy note of agreement. And I think we can probably end with one here because I recently interviewed Cristiano Ronaldo in Riyadh, actually. And he said this about Donald Trump.
One of the guys that I want to meet. I wish one day, if you have
Donald
opportunity,
Trump. I can make.
Wait, where was this interview? I never saw this interview.
make that happen. Or tell him that one of the guys that I want to sit to have a nice talk. He was one of the guys.
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
Well, his son Barron's a big fan of yours. He told me that.
Yeah,
he's fan. He loves you.
Good. His son is
almost as big as a fan of Charlie Kirk.
Coming as well.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, we get Barron, Donald. I'll have to be there.
If you want to be, is
Thank you,
allowed.
Christiana. I'll come as your assistant.
Perfect.
That would be an amazing. I think we can make that happen. I think he'd love to meet you.
Perfect.
Well, I'm not saying that Uncensored has a rare power now in this world, but 3 weeks later, for the first time ever, Christiana last night met Donald Trump at the White House, and Donald Trump said this about him.
Was loaded up with the biggest leaders in the world, business, sports. You know, my son is a big fan of Ronaldo, wherever Ronaldo is here. Ronaldo. And Barron got to meet him, and I think he respects his father a little bit more now, just the fact that I introduced you. So I just want to thank you both for being here. Thank you very much.
And later, the White House today, in fact, posted a picture of the two of them saying the two goats. Now, it might be an arguable point for Wajahat and Anna in particular.
I'm a Messi guy. I live in Miami.
Well, I'm going to come to that. I know this. So I was going to say,
I feel like soccer is for children. I've got a poll. I've got a poll for you guys.
I'm a Messi guy. I live in Miami.
Well, I'm going to come to that. I know this. So I was going to say that Vijay, I suspect the theory that Donald Trump is the go-to president is a contestable point. We can have another time. But on the football point, I said for a while, Ronaldo is the greatest to ever play the game. Buck, I know you're a Messi guy. You're just going to have to suck it up, mate. The mood music is moving to my boy, Ronaldo. He's the best.
Hopefully, Ronaldo can ask Trump to release the Epstein files.
That may be what he was saying when they were walking together. Anyway, I wanted to end on a light note. Fascinating panel. Love that we started with total agreement. I love that, as always, it descended into total disagreement. That is what makes these panels so engaging. Thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
Oh, they're moving on from the panel. So I'm going to do it on both here. Which would you prefer to watch? Which would you prefer to watch? A soccer game or a baseball game? Soccer match. Actually, I don't want to use that. We'll just because I already did it on the other one. We'll keep it the same. We'll keep it the same for both. Let me know which one you prefer. The masses love soccer. Yeah, the masses are fucking retarded. Section said sports in general are for children. Nah, I disagree. Of course your mind would go there. Of course your mind would go there. So sit and fucking cry about it. I don't give a shit.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
Well, returning now to the Epstein files, the House voted almost unanimously to compel the DOJ to release all of its files on Jeffrey Epstein. I'm joined now by Epstein victim, Alicia Arden, and her attorney, Gloria Allred. Well, welcome to both of you. Alicia, it was very, very...
Where do I know this chick from? I'm going to assume this is the lawyer. I've seen her somewhere before.
Moving to see you and many of the other victims yesterday. I watched it for a long time, actually, and was really, really moved by it. But
okay, then I just don't ever want to hear you say touch grass ever again.
Particularly struck by your story, because you could have stopped all this. If people had taken you seriously, you could have stopped all this stone dead. Because, well, I want you to tell the story for people who didn't watch yesterday, who don't know your story. Just explain briefly what happened to you with Epstein and what you tried to do.
Well, that's a good question, Piers. I mean, I was
hey, how about you hit the fucking poll, please?
a young model who wanted to desperately be in Victoria's Secret, and I got a call that Jeffrey Epstein could make that happen. He wanted me to go to the hotel room to meet him, and it wasn't going well. I went in there with my portfolio, as all models do, prepared to be in lingerie and do some modeling turns for him. And then he was liking that, but then it was turning bad. He was wanting me to come near him, looking at my pictures, doing a turn, and then he said he wanted to manhandle me.
Manhandle or manhandle?
Never heard of anyone say that. He said, "Let me manhandle you," and I.
That's what I'm saying. That's gay. Apparently, it's gay. It's gay. Didn't you hear the rest of the chat?
Was turning, and then he started touching my breasts and my hips and my butt, and I wanted to get out of there. I was being attacked, And I just felt I needed to leave. It wasn't going well to be in Victoria's Secret. So I ran out of the hotel room. He started to follow me. And I said, I have to get out of here. I was so embarrassed and ashamed. I did start to cry in front of him. And he got a phone call. And to this day,
shout out to Claudia. I like that. Gloria Allred. Okay. Is that why they're all wearing red? Who? So, like, where would I have seen her before? Like, because I remember seeing her in this kind of context of being a lawyer, but what was she, like, what is her, like, would it be from this, or was there someone else famous that she represented, or where would I have seen this chick before?
I think it could have.
And welcome to the party.
Then Ghislaine Maxwell calling him. And he said, I have this beautiful girl in front of me and she's very upset. And I said, Jeffrey, I want my portfolio and I'm leaving. And then he wanted to give me $100. And I said, I'm not a prostitute. I just want to be in Victoria's Secret. So I left. He followed me, but I completely left and I drove to the police station. I wanted to file a police report. And that was going bad. I was so discouraged, humiliated, and I was very scared and traumatized, but I wanted to do it anyway.
But that, Gloria, that welcome
and I
back.
did.
Yeah, Gloria, lovely to see you again. Really fascinating this, because had the police taken this more seriously, had Epstein had a criminal case built against him and been prosecuted, then he could have ended up in the late 90s becoming a convicted sex attacker. And who knows how that might have framed then what happened over the next 20 years or so. So a significant part of the story, I think.
I mean, is 17 not a legal child anymore? Are you trying to fuck 17-year-old's box?
I agree with you. And Piers, thank you very much for inviting me today. It's good to see you again. I am very concerned about what happened, because there have been so many failures of the justice system, not only beginning as far as we know with that one, and there may have been more that we didn't know even prior to that, but not to prosecute him, even though there's a victim there who then does file a police report and does indicate, she alleges, that she would testify if there were a prosecution. And then
this is weird. This is a weird, something weird is happening. Something weird is happening. I can't, like, that's definitely part of it. But this is weird. This is odd. I think we gotta keep watching it. Maybe I'll put my finger on it. But there's something off about this. Does anybody else feel that?
Alleges that she would testify if there were a prosecution, and then there's no prosecution. And apparently it's just the beginning. We know that, for example, in 2008, that there was a sweetheart deal for Jeffrey Epstein in Florida.
Yeah, that's okay. That's part of it. They're just like, they're like, what are you, fucking girlfriends? Or is this your lawyer? What is happening? She's a liar. It's obvious. She's being coached. Weird. Bad acting. There you go. E.G. and Carol vibes. Definitely. Claudia said, not if Gloria's involved. She grifts on scandals. Knew there was something. A little shady, a little shifty going on. Why the red? Gloria Allred is in all red, and Gloria Allred's client is in all red. What? What?
There was a sweetheart deal for Jeffrey Epstein in Florida that the U.S. attorney at that time, Alex Acosta, could have filed numerous federal charges.
Are we the same? Rage says the widow's peak. I mean, no. Maybe that's a piece of it. Oh, it's too cool for her. Oh! But I think it's the collection of all. Who accused Kavanaugh? Christine Blasey Ford. Christine Blasey Ford. Bitch. Yeah, something happened like 30 years ago, and I never said anything, and I don't remember anything about it, but it totally happened. I promise, I swear. Source? Trust me, bro.
At that time, Alex Acosta could have filed numerous federal charges based on the information and the evidence that he was given at that time, but instead he basically decided not to and then punted it to the state. They filed charges against Jeffrey Epstein. He ended up getting a sweetheart deal where he could spend his
Actually, so when the vertical people get a good comment, I'm gonna come up here and be like, yeah, spot on. What does that look like? Hold on, let me get that live. Yeah, that looks way better. Like, oh, you cooking, and then it's up here, right? So yeah, this motherfucker cooking. All right.
Filed charges against Jeffrey Epstein. He ended up getting a sweetheart deal where he could spend his time in jail at night, but during the day he could leave and go to his office, and there are allegations that he sexually abused women when he was in his office during the day. Then, of course,
do you believe me? Do you believe me? Look, actually, it's probably bigger for you guys when like this. Do you believe me? I promise I'm telling the truth. Are you though?
We go to New York, where Jeffrey Epstein had been placed into custody, was going to be prosecuted. All the hopes of the survivors were up that there would be a trial. They could confront him in a court of law as witnesses in the federal prosecution, but then he mysteriously died, suicide or homicide. I'll leave it to everyone to decide.
Or neither. Motherfucker's still alive. Motherfucker's still alive. I will not be convinced that Jeffrey Epstein is dead without evidence. No.
While he was in federal custody. So no trial at that.
Wait, what did we miss? What happened? What?
All the hopes of the survivors were up that there would be a trial. They could confront him in a court of law as witnesses in the federal prosecution, but then he mysteriously died, suicide or homicide. I'll leave it to everyone to decide.
What liberties was? What does this mean?
While he was in federal custody. So no trial at that time. Now we come forward. Fast forward to the issue of the Epstein files, and there has to have been a battle by the brave survivors like Alicia.
See, again, why are, like, what is this? What are you doing? For the vertical people, what is this level of again, are they gaying each other or what? What are we doing?
To get these files released. Of course, President Trump
could have just
told the Department of Justice, release the files.
Quick side quest. There's this guy on TikTok who takes just like the audio from different Judge Judy things, and like when she's just like gangster as fuck, and he will dress like a 1930s gangster and just say the just act out. I'm gonna try to find that. Actually, I'm gonna try to find that.
Trump could have just told the Department of Justice, release the files, and they would have had to release them immediately. Instead, because he took a position in opposition to that, that's why there was a bill, and the Democrats, along with Thomas Massey, who's a representative and a Republican, decided to move forward with the bill, ultimately passed the House of Representatives. Last night it passed the Senate. Now we're waiting for the president to do what he said he would do just a few days ago, which is sign the bill if it's placed on his desk. And then, of course, that's not the end of the battle, Piers, because he will have 30 days, or rather the Department of Justice will have 30 days after he signs the bill to start producing the files that they have, with some exceptions. And a big glaring exception is that because the president has said he wants Democrats investigated, some high-profile Democrats like former President Clinton, and the Department of Justice through Attorney General Pam Bondi has said, yes, the Southern District of New York will open an investigation. There are going to be exceptions because they're going to say, look, we have an ongoing investigation. We can't release certain parts of this file. So again, can the survivors have confidence in the Department of Justice? I think they're going to have to show through their actions that they're complying with this bill, which will become law if the president signs it. And by the way, there was a subpoena previously by the House Oversight Committee They should have complied at that time. They released some files, but not all. And many of the files they released were already public. So I'm cautiously approaching this next stage to see if the survivors can have confidence in the Department of Justice, or is it just going to be another failure and denial of justice such as they have had in the past. But the good news is the House Oversight Committee will be monitoring what is released to see if everything is released that complies with the new law, should it become law today.
Speaking of which, Judy being the best that there ever is, it is time for a little side quest. Just a shorty. All right. So let me see what the best layout for this is. So we'll just start normal. And Dazzy, that was his name. Let's go full screen. Where is all right, can we see this? What does it look like there? Oh, that looks like ass over there. What does this look like? That? I feel like that's just going to be in the same thing. Yeah, okay, we'll go here. Actually, I'll just do whatever. Fuck it.
9
So,
month old. Do you work? I have 5 children. They're my work. How many children does she have? 2. How old are they? 8 and 6. And she works? Yes, she works. You see, she has children and she works. She only has 2 children. She has as many children as she can afford to take care of. I also have a dog. Well, that's your problem. You know, you can have as many children as you like as long as you're able to take care of them. When you have to rely on other people to take care of your children, then it becomes more of a problem. And it doesn't sound to me as if Miss Franson, who has 2 children of her own, who teaches classes, because that's the way you say you met her, is floating in dough. She is floating in dough.
Oh, she's floating in whose dough?
Hers and her husband's.
Since when did you become a partner in her and her husband's money? That's what's wrong with this country.
She and her husband both drive BMWs.
And
they have childcare, and they have weekly house cleanings.
And you don't sound like an unintelligent woman, Miss Gebhardt. I would assume that if you hadn't made 5 children, you would be able to have a job and work full time and maybe drive around in a BMW. Instead, what you chose to do is you chose to have a gaggle of children. That was your choice. Your choice to have a lot of kids. She chose to have 2, have a job, drive around in a BMW. What is that? Your business?
It's not my business, but she had the money to give me. She didn't loan.
Now, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,000.
Months rent.
Okay, one more.
No, that's not what I asked you. That's why we're here.
Why is what are we not here?
And how many months rent did you pay?
I don't owe him anything.
No, that's not what I asked you. That's why we're here. So don't cop an attitude.
I don't have an attitude with you.
Don't cop an attitude. I asked you a question. I said, how many months?
Yeah, this works well for the landscape, but this looks like actually, I guess it doesn't look any different for that. But I mean, you don't need me here.
Rent did you pay him?
I pay him, I think, all his rent.
I don't know what you think, because we'll go through each month. Where is the ATV?
I can't stop.
To a friend.
The name of the friend and the phone number of the friend.
I don't have that on me.
That's too bad. Where do you live?
Omaha, Nebraska.
You want to get home?
Yeah.
Get me the name of the friend. Do you understand?
Why is everyone
And it goes on and on. All right, let's finish this up. Yeah, okay.
That complies with the new law, should it become law today.
Alicia, why is it so important to you and the other survivors to see full transparency on these files?
It's just always been so important, Piers. We're always.
Whoa! What's with all the distance here? What's with all the distance? What happened? I thought we were shoulder to shoulder.
Always looking for the truth, and I have said for years that after I finally did get my police report filed, if the police.
Were you not the same person who asked just like an hour ago why somebody would want to be on vertical when you were on vertical?
Department in Santa Monica, California would have looked after him, followed him, because he was essentially living at Shutter's Hotel in Santa Monica, California, if they would have followed him and looked to see where he was going and who is this person that this girl Alicia filed the police report on, I might have been able to save the girls. And now I'm still trying to save myself and them, because it does need to go forward and to stop piecemealing it and talking about it.
Yeah.
I will feel like I'm slapped in the face if it doesn't.
What is your personal message to Donald Trump?
Please do the right thing. Sign the bill. We're all suffering, myself and the other victims. Don't wait around. Get it done like you had said that you were going to do when people allegedly voted you in office.
Alicia and Gloria.
There's a class struggle lens for that Judge Judy clip. I'm going to need a little bit more of an explanation on that one. What does that mean? Hector said, shoulder distancing is the first sign of division. The feminists need to be shoulder to shoulder. Otherwise, they are dying. Hey, shout out to the Rage page with another Della making you holla. All right, so this is over. So then we'll see. I got some stuff on Twitter. I don't even remember what it was. What do we got here? That, of course, is the stream right now. There was a bunch of stuff from this. How well am I going to be able to read this? So, plaintiff Jane Doe against Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. Complaint for RPA, sexual misconduct, criminal sexual acts, sexual abuse, forcible touching, assault, battery. Plaintiff Jane Doe brings action against Trump and Epstein. Plaintiff is an individual residing in California. Upon blah, 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 blah. Where's the... Okay, so that's one. We want that. So this court has original subject matter jurisdiction with respect to this action pursuant to the law as it exists a complete diversity of citizenship between plaintiff and defendants. And the amount in controversy exceeds $75,000, exclusive interest and cost, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so, all right. The plaintiff was subject, again, the Jane Doe here, was subject to acts of RPA, sexual misconduct, all of those things, forcible touching, assault, battery, blah, 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 all that stuff, and threats of death or serious bodily injury by the defendants that took place at several parties during the summer months of 1994. The parties were held by defendant Epstein at a New York City residence that was being used by defendant Epstein in Manhattan. During this period, the plaintiff was the minor age of 13, legally incapable of consenting. The RPAs in the first, second, and third degree, and all that other stuff. Moving on. And belief that predatory SA detailed herein are unlawful under New York law. Can't do that. So what is the plaintiff, similar remedy, blah, 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 blah. Courts have discretion to allow proceeding anonymously where we need to for privacy outweighs public interest. Okay, but what is the thing? Give me the bottom line. Plaintiff was enticed to by promises of money and a modeling career to attend a series of parties with other similarly situated minor females held at the New York City residence that was being used by Epstein. At least 4 of the parties were attended by Trump. On information and belief by this time in 94, Trump had known Epstein for 7 years. We know that. Blah, 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 blah. And Trump booms from a speakerphone. He's lots of fun to be with. Yeah, that's just how Trump fucking talks. Trump initiated sexual contact with plaintiff on 4 different parties. On the 4th and final sexual encounter with defendant Trump, Trump tied the plaintiff to a bed, exposed himself, and then proceeded to forcibly RPay the plaintiff. Again, this is just what they are saying. This is not like this happened. This is just what is being alleged. So then a violent striking. Immediately following this, Trump threatened the plaintiff that were she ever to reveal any of the details, then she would be ended. Epstein had sexual contact. So again, like, okay, then let's go to court. Let's go to court then. Just like we did with Christine Blasey Ford. Everybody deserves their day in court, right? If you're right, if you're not lying, should be pretty easy. Should be pretty easy. But, you know, what are you gonna do? Section says she's not suffering at all. She's just aging out of the market and wants free money. Yikes. Yikes. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'll bet she never even originally filed a police report. I don't like that talking point though. Like, maybe some people think it's cope that like women don't want to report these things, but like in general, I accept that that's like a thing that I'm a small dude. If someone SA'd me, the last thing I would want to do is go through an entire trial telling everybody how I got my butthole cleaned out. I mean, you know what I mean? Not necessarily my favorite thing. And then if you add on world leaders, global world leaders, I'm not saying just believe all women. I'm just saying not filing a police report in this situation rather, doesn't really say much. Don't we all, brother? Don't we all? Sexual misconduct sounds like a punk band. Wouldn't be bad. Wouldn't be a bad name. Death Vote said my former bank settled a class action lawsuit and I got a check for $7.46. Well, that's free money. That's free money. Bog said if you pee in a bush and a girl sees you, that's SA. Yep. 94, what a time to be alive, and shout out to Diddy and the Ghetto Boys. Yeah, I'm glad I was 4 years old at that time. I didn't have anything to do with nothing about any of that. Rage Page said, having sex in your own vehicle at 3 a.m. with no one around is a public sex crime. Yep, I almost got in trouble for that one. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, fair enough. Rich Page said victims don't have to go through trial when underage. I didn't know that. I did not know that. But again, like the point stands. Like you still have to deal with it. Whereas if it happens and you just kind of fucking just like, all right, I don't want to deal with that. Like shit happens. That was not good. I'm just gonna move on with my life. You cannot tell me that's an irrational thing to do. You might say it's immoral. You might say it's selfish, whatever. But you cannot tell me that that's immoral. Section said, if someone SA'd you, you'd rather let that person walk free to do it again? No, that is not my take. What I said was that I would be worried about having to go through telling everybody about it. That's all I said. Would you be happy to talk about some dude cleaning at your asshole? Would you be happy about that? That's what I said. I didn't say anything about a person walking free, not doing that. I agreed with Bucks saying that maybe it's not cope, but you need to report it. So strawman me harder, baby. Just this is a stupid, simpy mentality. Reporting a crime done to you isn't all about your personal sense of justice. It should be a duty. That's again a straw man. I specifically agreed when Buck said, please report it. I said, yes, I agree. Two things can be true at the same time. You should do a thing, and the thing is not fun. Do we understand? I am not saying don't report it. I am not saying they should go free. I am saying that despite the fact that you should report this person, despite the fact that you should go through whatever it takes to get that person locked up or whatever, there is still a consideration for going through that. I want to hear anybody actually fucking address that argument and say that that's irrational, that I don't want to tell the whole world about getting our paid. Yeah, okay. Cry harder. Cry harder. Yep. Unlike the transes will tell you, that is the only thing that we can do by being male. Adam said, if you make out in the woods and no one hears her moaning, was it SA? Good question. Good question. And you know what? I can't think of... Oh, well, let's go back to what I had on Twitter. Let's see. I had some other stuff. See, yeah. We did... Oh, come on. Oh, so we had all of that. Then we had this call from Mark Epstein. They're sanitizing these files. That's why they're coming out.
What I do want to talk about is I've been recently told the reason they're going to be releasing these things and the reason for the flip is that they're sanitizing these files. There's a facility in Winchester, Virginia, where they're scrubbing the files to take Republican names out of it. That's what I was told by a pretty good source. What I do want to talk about.
Makes sense to me. I'm not saying I totally believe it. It's definitely the truth. And then, I'll let you guys determine how you feel about this. This will be the let's see what you guys think.
Hey, Megyn Kelly. I'm Eloise and I'm 14 years old.
So did anybody not see anything about the Megyn Kelly comments where she was essentially saying that, like, well, they weren't going after like prepubescent blah 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 blah. It was, like 15, and so they were like pubescent, and the weird destiny types that need to tell you the difference between a PDF and whatever it's called when you like underage post pubescent children. That's a different word, whatever that is. I don't know.
Hey, Megyn Kelly. I'm Eloise and I'm 14 years old. I wasn't even going to say anything because the topic is an adult one. My mom even made a video about it yesterday because we didn't feel it was an appropriate topic for a child to speak about. But after hearing you go on camera and explain that Epstein wasn't into 8-year-olds, just the barely legal type like 15, I realized you might need an actual reality check from a literal child. So let me help you out. Megyn...
Is that what it is? Habophile? Underaged would be under the age of adulthood. So... 17 or younger. Crazy. I know, right?
People in my grade are turning 15 right now. Some of us still have baby faces. Some of us still have braces. Some of us still call our parents when we're scared at night. Some of us still look like middle schoolers because we basically are. And the fact that a grown woman needs a teenager to explain that is honestly terrifying. Here's the part you seem confused about. Under federal law, anyone under 18 is a child. No asterisk.
No asterisk. No asterisk.
No, but they hit puberty. No, older kids don't count. Anyone under 18 is a child. You said you were just giving facts, but here's the real fact. What you said wasn't factual. It was minimizing. It was making abuse sound like a technicality. And Megyn, here's the part you really need to hear. If a 14-year-old has to get on the internet and explain to a grown adult with national platform that children are children and there's no age where abuse suddenly becomes less bad, then the problem isn't confusion, it's corruption. Because kids my age aren't supposed to be the ones correcting you. We're not supposed to be the moral compass in a room full of adults who should have known better. But here we are. If my voice makes you uncomfortable, good, it should. Because the minute adults start defending predators by debating the age of a child, you're not protecting the truth. You're protecting the predator. And you shouldn't need a freshman to tell you that.
A freshman? Oh my God. They're literal children. They're literal children. So I don't know. I feel like I've heard something different, but we'll go with that. That's like I remember Destiny talking. Well, technically, get the fuck out of here. If you're 30 years old and your cutoff isn't at worst 22, then I'm looking at you sideways. I lost it pretty early. I was 15, right? 15. So it was on the anniversary of 9/11. What had happened was, so this was, what year would this be? I was 15 before, so I was turning 16 that year. So it would have been 2005. So 2005, the 4-year anniversary of 9/11. There just so happened to be a Labor Day end of summer type barbecue at my house. And of course, my girlfriend was invited. I was 15. She was a couple months younger than me. And we just, ran up and did our thing. Lasted about 12 seconds. And then I was like, oh, I did it! Yo, that girl. Well, I don't want to talk crazy because she's married now with children. But we had some fun. We had some fun. They said, Megyn Kelly and this kid are both annoying. That does not add to the conversation. Box said, ask a child a difficult question and watch them give you the best answers. Yeah. If you ask a kid about racism in America, about wages, about healthcare, about taxes, that's where, hold on. I thought you were saying, ask a child a difficult question within the realm of what is difficult for a child to answer, but is still feasible. If you're talking to children about racism in America, wages, healthcare, taxes that they've never paid, they're just parroting whoever else told them what they're supposed to think about that. We know that a lot of adults do that. So when you were talking about ask a kid, they give you the best answers. I thought you were talking about the innocence of if you ask a child, like, what's the most important thing in the world? Oh, clearly family or something like that. That's what I thought you meant. Do not expect real answers about anything when you ask a child about racism, wages, healthcare, and taxes.
Stupid.
What? You're barking up the wrong tree, homie. You're barking up the wrong tree. Yeah, just because you agree with children doesn't make their answers correct. Kids have no sense of money, time, consequences, and a complex system. But, like, again, hard questions within the context of what a child can answer. So I guess I just disagree. Yeah, I'd never take healthcare advice from someone who wants to eat processed chicken nuggets and candy. Bingo. What are we talking about, Box? What are we talking about? We are about to go find out and hit up that after party. We did not hit the goal, so no push-ups for me. But shout out to all of the donations. My goodness. Thank you. Thank you, guys, so very, very much. Oh, my goodness. They keep going and going and going. Thank you, guys, so very, very much. Actually, let me add that last dollar. Every dollar counts. We are at $577 out of 1,500 for the Morty stream. That was 9 out of 15 and $42 out of 50. Guys, $8. And I'm on the floor doing push-ups. Just saying. The after party is in the Discord server. If you are on so the pinned link, if you hit that pinned link, if you're on the regular, the pinned link, if you're on the landscape stream, the pinned link is the Discord server. If you join the Discord service, in the Discord server, Box is already there in the after party channel. If you join the server before the stream ends, then it is for members only, but I'll give you the day pass because I want you to come and see what we're doing. I know that it is worth it. I know they're going to be like, hey, $3.99 a month for 12 of these? That's a good idea. And if you change your mind, then you've lost nothing and you've had an awesome conversation. So come on through, guys. It really is a good time. And I really am trying to build something. I'm trying to build a community where people don't just, it's not an echo chamber, but people are able to get into the issues and talk about the details that matter for whatever subject it is. And maybe get passionate, maybe get a little loud, maybe get a little whatever. But with the respect of the conversation so that the ideas matter most. If you cannot talk to people with whom you disagree, then you suck. Then you're a loser. Don't be a loser. I'll drop the link to the Discord again in the vertical stream. Again, guys, if you hit that link before the stream is over, I can see. If you hit that link before the stream is over, you get free access. Guys, thank you so very much for hanging out. I know you can be doing anything else in the world, and yet here you are hanging out with the Overlord and myself. And I really, really do appreciate that. Again, guys, remember, we are live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, and sometimes whenever I feel like it. So make sure you hit that subscribe. And again, oh man, YouTube is terrible with those freaking notifications. So just hit the bell, and it will make sure that you never miss an Indian Jesus live party ever. Once again, guys. Well, before we go, we got one last person. Where is it? Michael Rayner. Oh, it's not showing up. Well, shout out to Michael Rayner. Welcome. We are about to head to that Discord party right above your chat. So come on through. Once again, this is the Overlord Morty, and I have been your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Until next time, guys, we are out of here. Peace.